Come back to our CSI Midlands campaign. When at last we left our heroes, Jackdaw and Friar Dunstan had explored the basement of the Abbey of St. Cloud and discovered a strange, mutating, time-controlling creature lurking within the basement, this Cthulhuid, Dark Young-esque monstrosity. They also discovered a young cleric whom they rescued in the process of killing this beast, and all the strange mutating effects that it had on time ceased upon its death. Elsewhere in the forest, Big Mick and Lieutenant Uffington had been scouting around the forest to make sure there were no other dangers, and they ran into the tail end of a Beastman raiding party that was heading obviously towards the Abbey. They immediately started running back to tell their fellows, but found their way blocked by this strange warping of time, which made it virtually impossible to get back into this clearing. However, with the death of the Dark Young, that time field no longer exists, and they're able to make their way back into the clearing. So that is where we're going to pick up. So Jackdaw and Friar Dunstan, as we said at the end of last session, you've in one of the few sort of sparse clearings on the northern edge of the Abbey ground. So the Abbey and all the other stuff is just to the south of where you are on the map. You've set up like a little camp. Obviously, Jackdaw, you were quite badly injured last time, although Friar Dunstan's healing magic, although somewhat subdued initially by the presence of the Dark Young, this Cthulhuid entity, has sort of got you back up and running again. And you've got young Gabriel O'Gowan with you as well. You've got a couple of sleeping rolls set down. You've rigged up a little cooking pot over a small fire. You're in this area of scrubby sort of brushes, a couple of collapsed logs, a few rocky outcroppings and tree trunks. Nothing dramatic. You've all been taking your watches when Friar Dunstan, everyone else is asleep. You're awoken, Friar Dunstan, by a gentle nudging, and you look up to see the concerned face of young Gabriel O'Gowan, the acolyte that you rescued previously, and he says, I'm sorry to wake you, Friar, but there's a strange noise coming from the forest. And as you sort of slowly start waking up, Friar, sort of everything swimming back into focus, you can just make out the sound of drums beating in the distance, this relentless, and it seems to be getting louder and closer. Okay. You quickly look around. You see Jackdaw is obviously like sleeping, trying to recuperate from his recent traumatic experiences. You can see that Gabriel must have lit to the fire, maybe to get some breakfast ready or something. The cooking pot's bubbling away before he obviously heard this noise.
Young Gabriel, I don't know what this is, but we should put out the fire and then wake Jackdaw.
Oh, yes, of course, Friar, of course. And he goes and gets up one of the water skins and sprays a bit of water on the fire. There's a slight tss, and the fire goes out.
Okay, and then I suggest that we hide once Jackdaw's awake. That we kind of potentially move down here and wait and see what's coming.
Yes, of course, Father, of course. Okay, so are you waking Jackdaw, or are you going to leave Gabriel to do that?
No, yeah, I'll wake Jackdaw.
Yeah.
Say, the drums. Something is coming.
Yeah. I brush the weight of sleep off my eyes, and I suppose we because we've sorted out the camp, right? So
of course,
everyone's dashing into some kind of hiding place now. That's the plan.
Well, you've got plenty of time, so feel free to move yourselves the way you want.
So Jackdaw's going to be in this bush here, and he's gonna do that thing. When you have an elven cloak, you just crouch down, you do this, and you turn into a rock.
Okay, I understand. I'll put a little marker on you. Boom, boom, boom. There we go. Let's have a nice little... See what we've got for a little hide marker there. Where's the little ninja face? That's always a good one. There we go, a little ninja face for you.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's at this point, as you're also getting ready to hide, that Big Mick and the lieutenant, you find your way into this clearing, probably following the wisps of smoke from the campfire. Obviously, you've encountered this Beastman warband, as I've said previously, and you're running to tell your companions. As they run in, Fry Dunstan, where are you? Would they be able to see you as they come pelting in?
Yeah, I think so. I'd have been kind of here and moving in the general direction. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
So, Big Mick and Lieutenant Uffington, as you run into the clearing, you look around, you can see the makeshift remnants of a camp to the sort of southwestern edge of the map, and you can see Friar Dunstan and a youngish man wearing some brown monk's robes you don't recognise. You can see he's like stood next to the campfire with a water skin, obviously having just put the fire out. There's still a few wisps of smoke. You guys come running full bore into the clearing. What do you do?
Dunstan, find somewhere to hide. Beastmen.
Beastmen.
Lots of them. Thousands of them.
Do you want to hide on the east side and we will ambush them in the middle?
Wow, that's bold. Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
I think there might be a few too many, Friar. I think there's a fair old contingent. That's like a lot of them.
Yeah, let's find somewhere though. That log over there looks a good place. Initially.
Can I get into this tree here, John?
Yeah, of course you can, yeah. Feel free to move yourselves where you want. You've got a bit of time. You guys are a little bit ahead of the Beastman band.
I'm going to climb up into the tree.
Yeah, no problem. You don't have to make a roll or anything ridiculous for that. You shin up the tree, that's not a problem. How about yourself, Lieutenant? You're diving behind that log.
Yep.
Okay.
Sprint over and
Yeah, you sprint across, you leap over the log and sort of slide down next to him, just like the top of your head, like peering over, so you like probably one eye so you can see what's going on. Okay. A few moments later, over the course of several minutes, the drumming gets louder and louder and nearer until you hear the like footfalls getting closer. And as you watch, you see what appears to be a group of beastmen, two groups in fact, emerging from the trees. You can see this group over here on the right hand side, the eastern side of the map. You can see there appear to be four of your fairly standard scraggly looking goat men with curled horns emerging from their head. They're wearing filthy tattered rags and have cloven hooves as they march forward. Leading them is a particularly large but rangy specimen that appears to have perhaps a cow or a goat skull fastened to the top of its head. What strikes you though, Lieutenant, because you're obviously the nearest person, as you're peering over the log from where your vantage point, you can see behind them, being dragged between two of these beastmen with large chains wrapped around him, is a extremely large human covered in deep cuts and bruises. He has a chain going from each of these beastmen around his neck, and he's being pulled bodily along by these two beastmen. And you recognise the battered and bedraggled form of Gregor, the giant Slavic warrior who you last saw attempting to sell his life dearly, buying yourself and your companions time to escape. He looks in an extremely bad way, covered in bruises, beaten, cuts all over him with dried blood matted into his hair. His armour is nowhere to be seen. He's basically just wearing like the torn remnants of his jerkin and his trousers and the tattered remnants of his leather boots. You can see he stumbles as he's being pulled along, seemingly having almost not the strength to be able to walk and to lift his own weight. But these two beastmen just sort of like jeer in this high-pitched braying fashion as they tug on these chains and drag this poor figure forwards. Over on the western side of the map, you see another group of beastmen emerging. They are led by all of these rangy goat-like figures. He has two large drums fastened around his neck by a leather thong covered in, you don't want to think about what sort of leather, and he has two large bones that as he's walking he's like dun, 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 dun. There seems to be no military organisation here, Lieutenant. You're not even sure why he's beating this drum at all. Obviously, as a military man, you know that a drum is used to keep people in lockstep and keep the marching order going, whereas these creatures seem to be gambling and trotting as they see fit. The drum is just a maddening cacophony that adds to the braying roars and shouting that they make as they move. Jackdaw, you can see the group of beastmen with the drummer a little bit better because you're nearer to them. You can see the specimen with the drum is a slightly larger humanoid than the others, and it appears to have slightly longer legs, but otherwise it looks very much of a type, and it's hammering with these two, you think, thigh bones on this drum as it moves. They don't appear to have spotted you yet.
Does it look like a procession? Or is this a warband looking for something?
Now you look at it closely, there are some elements of ritual perhaps, or ceremony to their marching. They're not just surging forward in a bestial tide as you've seen these creatures do before. Although they're sort of capering and jumping about, there seems to be a sort of grim purpose to their march. And you see, as you glance over in the direction of where the lieutenant is sitting, you see this large beastman with this skull cap that it's wearing occasionally glances back and shouts something in a language you don't understand to those behind him, at which point they pull on the chains and pull the bedraggled and injured Slavic warrior forward.
Can I cast a spell on these four guys here?
Which four guys, sorry?
The drummer and his companions.
You most certainly can.
So I would like to cast Soundburst, which is 1d8 damage, and they all have to make a wisdom saving throw.
Okay, no problem. So roll your d8.
Whoa.
Yeah, you'll have to. Oh no, here we go. So my roll 20 is lagging a little bit, but 7. Okay.
7 off the 4 of them, yeah.
So as you launch this, and describe what your soundburst sounds like.
It really sounds like a church bell. So just as this drummer is kind of walking through, there's just this eruption of sound from his feet that just sounds like he's in the middle of one of the chapels or another big kind of cathedrals when the bell goes off, and it just that ringing noise in his ear for the foreseeable.
Okay, splendid. So there's this loud like brung, 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 of like church bells that vibrates and rings out, peals out through this scene. The four beastmen marching forward, including the one with the drum, they are all thrown about onto the ground. The drumming ceases as the drum falls to the floor. And I'm going to deduct some points from them, because you very nearly killed them.
Oh.
Okay, so The 4 beastmen here are literally thrown to the ground by this tremendous pealing of bells. The drum falls to the ground with a discordant crash. And you see them all sort of like shaking their heads and trying to pick themselves up, sort of looking around, obviously not really sure what's actually happened. Okay. Obviously, sorry, go ahead.
Sorry. Is this something that everyone can hear? Or
Yeah. You all hear this.
bell noise,
to you guys, it sounds loud, but it's focused on them. So to them, it's like sonic boom loud.
Yeah,
to you guys, it's just loud. But yeah, for a few moments, it's like you're all stood in the belfry of a church with these chiming of bells and this dung 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 ringing out, and you see these beastmen sort of like falling to the ground, like holding their heads, and so you can see them trying to shout something or perhaps scream something, but it's covered up by the sound of these bells, and they all like drop to their knees. Like,
this is a new trick of Dunstan's, is it? I've not noticed this before.
We've seen it before, but you just haven't described the sound, so I'm imagining we will know exactly what it is.
Ah, right, that might be it then.
It also hasn't ever been that successful.
yeah, that's very true. That's very true.
Maybe that's what it is.
There's been 3 1s and 2 2s, I think.
Oh,
There's
okay.
been
So,
hand bells.
Yeah, I was going to say it's been a bit more sort of tubular bells before, rather than like cathedral. But
yeah, right. We've gone full Notre Dame.
yeah, but perhaps bolstered by their victory over the horror when they explored the underground level of St. Cloud. Perhaps now that interference with his connection with Gale has been slain and cast aside. Perhaps this has bolstered his resolve and renewed his faith. But whatever the reason is, this ear-shattering sound has played merry havoc with these 4 beastmen. Now, the rest of you guys, effectively, because you guys have got like a surprise round, because they didn't realise you were here, you guys all get like 1 action before these beastmen start to react. So, Mick, what about yourself? You're up the tree, you're watching these beastmen falling to the ground.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'll just maybe try and chance a sneaky shot out of the bushes, see if I can just finish one of them off.
Okay, go for it, and don't forget this counts as a sneak attack, so they don't know you're there.
Yeah, I've got a crossbow for this eventuality. And I don't know if I can't see that on my sheet here. Okay, I'll just roll a 20. Just roll a d20 over here. We're 19. Well, that's going to be a hit. Isn't it?
Yeah, and there's this guy's literally got 2 hit points back.
Okay.
There's no way you're not rolling 2 hit points. So I'm assuming you're shooting at the nearest one.
Yeah, I think so. I don't want to push my luck.
Okay, so describe as this beastman falls to the ground, sort of like grabbing his head and screaming in this high-pitched, braying voice. Describe how you take him out with a deft crossbow shot.
Yeah, I think it's uncharacteristically accurate. As he's like, stretching back in distress, kind of thing. It catches him right in the throat there. Ugh.
Indeed, it doesn't. It sort of bowls him over backwards, and he falls to the ground and lies still. You can see his 3 companions are sort of looking around, still not really sure what's going on, so still trying to recover from the sound. Okay, nice. Lieutenant.
Well, okay, I think it's time to break cover and sprint over towards the leader of the group in the east.
Yep, go for it.
And hack him down. Sprint. So let's see if I can move this off. Yeah, it's going to be a sprint straight towards him if I can reach him.
Yeah, that's fine. Just move yourself over.
Which one is he? Alright. And attack. I'm using the face, so by the way, trying that out.
Okay.
So rather than bellow or anything, I'm just silently running on the balls of my feet. get a bit of speed up and then.
Yep, you definitely hop over this log and you run towards him, drawing the sword in one swift motion as you do so. And it's just enough to hit him. 11 is his AC, so roll your damage.
Damage. What's the next one? Oh. Alright,
That doesn't look right, Ian. That's a.
it doesn't, does it?
Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on with that.
Looks like it's. A
Oh, you
D0
put
instead of
roll.
D10.
Yeah, you put roll 1d0. Let me just have a look at your carrot sheet. Fate. Ah, yeah, there we go.
Which one was it?
Try it now.
Ah. And yeah. Cool. Thank you.
That's all right, no problems.
Mr. GM. Fingers crossed for a better.
Oh, that's a bit more like it.
Whack. Yeah, no, I do believe I can take him again on the back swing
You most certainly can.
in a fightery type, skilled in rapid attacks. So having slashed him across the left shoulder as I came in, and then duck and lift up to try and take him in the throat.
Now, obviously, I know you have 2 attacks, but I'm going to tell you, you've already done enough to kill that guy. So if you want, you can. So if you want, you can literally sort of step over him and go for one of the others if you wish. Because obviously you've literally run in and you're like, he falls down to the ground. You've still got an
Okay.
attack, so
Right, fair enough then. Yeah. Yeah, so with my backhand, I'll take the guy who's holding the right hand chain.
unfortunately they're further back. You're not in contact with any of them. It's these
Okay.
2 here who've got the chains.
Okay, all right. The nearest guy then.
Okay, go for it.
Probably the one on the left.
Yeah, roll your damage.
Choppity chop. Yeah, so he'll take the backhand, the backswing instead. As soon as the first guy went down unexpectedly. Chop.
Okay, and
Nice.
perhaps not quite so unexpectedly, the second guy, you slice him. He does fall to his knees, but he's still alive. But there's a vicious, deep wound across his chest, so he's still alive, but he's not looking long for this world.
And I'll snarl at the other one.
Okay, so Jackdaw, concealed below your elven cloak, looking like a grey rock in this scene. What do you do? You've seen the lieutenant just leap over this log. He runs and he's like, and virtually carves down 2 of these bestial humanoids without even breaking a sweat.
Yeah. I will take a shot at this one
Go for
with
it.
my short bow. From the bush. Okay, so it is a sneak attack.
Yep.
So let's see, where does that goes there, and then that goes there. Okay, I believe I have this correct. Let's see if I can hit. How's that for a shit roll?
However, it's still a hit. They've got AC.
On
They've got
brand.
AC 11,
He's
mate.
on brand with that.
Still a hit. AC 11.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow, still here.
Here goes. Anytime you're ready, roll 20. 7.
Okay, so that's not quite enough to finish the beastman off, but he falls to the ground with one of your arrows sticking out of his side.
Yeah, and I will vacate the fucking premises because I think the drummer and his pals might be looking to bum rush me. So I'm gonna dash over to. I presume this is from the looks of it, it's like a
like
a menhir.
Yeah, it's like
Like
a rocky outcropping, basically.
Yeah. So I will scoot scoot there.
Okay, no problems. So now the surprise action's done, we're going to go over to the initiative. So if you guys want to grab your classic D10s out and make your initiative rolls.
Yeah, big time.
It's a joke that keeps on giving, that one, isn't it?
Yeah. I like it.
It never gets old.
What's your AC, Big Mix? I've got to add you back onto the initiative.
Oh, what's my AC? Oosh.
Ooh, blimey.
What is it? Good question.
So a quick look. AC.
Yeah, where is it? Well, it's a sheepskin coat, isn't it?
10. It's 10, mate. It's 10. I keep forgetting you're not actually wearing any armour.
Where is it on the sheet? I
Okay.
can't even
How about yourself, Lieutenant? What's your AC?
It is. If I can close my blooming character again. It's.
It's sort of like middle of the sheet near the top.
Yeah, 15.
15. Okay, cool. So, because I took you guys off the initiative last session, so let's get you all added back on. Set the turn counter. Okay, drop. Just got to drop your numbers in. So we've got Big Mick on 5. And we have Fry Dunstan on 6.
finally found it. I can't believe it took me that long to find it. Jeez.
So, man, that's how these things go sometimes.
It's underneath the attributes there.
Bloody hell, the lieutenant's getting his sprint on a bit.
Yeah, we need to get these guys down.
He's going full-
Obviously, his early successes have like emboldened him. He's like, all right, let's see what the bad guys have got. If it ever actually rolls the dice. Oh, there we go. It's an 8. Okay, so I just sort that out. Okay, so we have the lieutenant going first.
Okay, I shall go for the injured ones, the one on the left first. And then the one on the right. If the one on the left's knocked down. Yeah, the one on the left. The one that I've just clobbered to his knees. Will take another blow to the skull.
Just take a blow, he does indeed. Okay, roll your damage.
And the damage is 6.
Okay,
Smack.
so that is him
Yeah.
dealt with. Describe how you kill him.
Well, yeah, like I said, he said he dropped to his knees.
Yep.
And not being one to give mercy to these creatures, the lieutenant just lifts his sword and whack, splits the guy's skull.
Okay, that's absolutely fine. Obviously, you've got 2 attacks.
Puts the sword free and backhand and try to decapitate the one that Jackdaw's shot already.
Okay, go for it.
So just at shoulder level, it swings back and crikey.
That'll do. Describe how you decapitate this guy, because you ain't getting lower than 2 on.
Yeah, so I just twist his blade free, takes a look, size up where he's going to hit this guy, and with a horizontal swipe, just takes
Okay.
the-
So basically, from the rest of where you guys are watching, it's almost like someone has fed all of these creatures into a Lieutenant Uffington-shaped blender, as you just see his sword glittering around in sweeping arcs, and the limbs and blood of these creatures flying everywhere. However, as you just like hacked this one down, you look up, Lieutenant, and you see one of the trees nearby. You just go and fall to the ground, and you see what appears to be a huge, almost minotaur-like beastkin that looks as though it has like plates of metal just like riveted directly to its body, comes just like crashing through the trees, just like pushing trees out of the way as it bursts into the sea, and it goes and you see huge strands of spittle flailing from its maw, and
Nice.
for a few moments its fist-sized gleaming eyes lock on you. Then it lowers its head and charges directly towards you.
Whoops. Mistake.
Okay. And this creature is going to attempt to grapple you. So, what this means is I'm going to have it do a strength check to see whether it can grapple you.
I think that's a no.
No. So
That
yeah.
might be a no.
So it lumbers forward clumsily and goes "Rrrr," trying to grab hold of you, but you just like leap out of the way, Lieutenant, evading its clumsy blows. However, with its second attack, in frustration, roaring, it's just going to lash out at you with one of its sort of metal encrusted arms and try to strike you. Okay, let's bring up its character sheet. Boom, 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 boom. Okay. So it has a +4 on this roll.
Oh,
Okay, so it's hit you, unfortunately.
it does. I celebrated too early.
I notice you're rolling the red dice there, John.
Goes down brand, mate. Goes down brand.
Yeah. It's not wasted on me.
Okay, and it gets a +3 to this. So due to its massive size, you take 8 hit points of damage. As just this huge fist, which is almost the size of your upper torso, just goes into you and actually knocks you back about 10 feet in this direction. You sort of like slide to a stop on your back.
Yeah.
Obviously, don't forget to adjust your hit points, which you can do by clicking on your token.
Oh, yeah.
You'll see the little green circle. You can just click on that and change the number in it and press enter, and it'll do all that shit for you. Okay,
Yep.
so
Thank you.
the other NPCs, right, these two beastmen, one of them is going to stay sort of holding onto the chains for Gregor. The other one leaps over the bodies of its fallen, however, and it's going to throw itself on what it perceives as being the weakened target of Lieutenant Uffington, who's already down on the ground. It's just going to throw itself with a braying roar on top of him and try and rip at him with its clawed hands. Okay, so I'll make a roll for that.
Ooh.
It hits. Okay, so it's D6 damage. Apologies for the amount of time some of these dice rolls are taking. My roll 20s are lagging a bit. That's 5 hit points of damage, Lieutenant.
Okay.
As this thing literally, with this bestial, braying, high-pitched cry, throws itself, like leaps on top of the lieutenant and just starts tearing at his flesh, like ripping off bits of armour and his clothing as it tries to shred him to pieces in a frenzy of bloodletting. Okay, the rest of the ones here who have now recovered, they're going to start making their way
They should be
towards...
prone, John.
Oh, my apologies. In which case, they will be getting up. So, Friar Dunstan.
So, based on the success of the previous one, I would like to soundburst the remaining 3 guys. Anything but a 1. So,
Describe how you slay the 3 of them with this soundburst.
so again, it's the same thing. They're kind of just getting to their feet, and then it just goes off again, and it throws the 3 of them in the air. and they come back down with a thump on the ground, and then they don't move anymore.
Indeed, it does. They've just started rising to their feet, howling whatever demonic war cries they're howling, and sort of shaking their fists and their claws and gnashing their teeth menacingly in the direction of the friar, who appears not bothered a bit, throws his hand out, and again this cacophony of gigantic bells seems to ring out through the clearing, vibrating the very trunks of the trees. You can see Big Mick in the tree you're in, like the leaves move and a few leaves fall down with the sheer ferocity of this sound. It hits them like a wave, throwing them all into the air like so many bowling pins. They fall to the ground and they lie there and twitch for a few moments and then lie still.
And then I would like to come out here roaring at this giant beastman to join his companions in the afterlife.
Okay.
And at the same time, I'll be shouting at Gabriel to help the lieutenant. I don't know if you want to roll separately for him or how you want to manage him, but
well, I'm quite happy for you to move him. That's fine. He's
Okay.
your henchman, effectively. So
okay,
we'll just
so
move him on
so-
your initiative.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, so he'll move there, moving towards the lieutenant to help. Yeah, and I'm doing everything in my power to draw the attention of this giant beastman.
Yeah, that's not going to be
Towards
difficult.
Jackdaw.
You've just sent out this cacophony of bells, and then you've leapt up and been like, "You want some?" It's not difficult to get. It's not difficult to get his attention. Okay, so Big Mick, you're still perched in your tree. You've got your crossbow ready. You've just seen the friar's faith fell of the remaining three of these beastmen, but now there's this huge Minotaur-esque monstrosity that's given the lieutenant a bit of a kicking.
Yeah, it seems like it'd be a shame not to shoot at him, really. So, yeah, he's definitely drawn my attention, and I'm going to take a shot at him.
Oh, nice.
16 plus nothing. A 16 then.
Okay, that is a hit.
Good out.
Roll your damage.
Hey!
Okay, your bolt sticks in this creature. You see it goes in just near its shoulder. You find a chink in these armoured plates that seem to be like just riveted directly to its body. You can actually see like dried bits of blood around where like the rivets are, like someone's just hammered them onto its body. It finds a chink, sinks into its shoulder, but this thing barely seems to notice it.
Still, I'm quite happy with that.
Oh yeah, it was a good shot. Okay, Jackdaw.
Is this the same fellow that we saw on the beach?
It's of similar size, although the one you saw on the beach didn't have armour plates riveted to
Yeah.
it. It could be the same one that someone's just slapped a load of
Yeah.
armour on. It's a bit,
Upgraded.
it's a bit difficult to tell, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah.
Although the armour doesn't seem to be doing it a great deal of good, because it's just been like haphazardly like slapped on it. It's not like
Yeah.
anyone's given any care or thought to like, oh, we need to protect the vital places. Someone's just gone, oh, metal's good.
So, let me get the old measuring tool out. Okay, so 30 feet was it? Our movement rate?
Yeah.
Forget where it is, but yeah, so 30 feet. Okay, so John, riddle me this.
Okay.
I tried this the last time. I'll try it a second time. So I'll get out ye old grappling hook.
Okay. I think I see where this is going. Carry on.
Yeah.
I don't even know why you bother, mate. You're going to roll a 3 or 4, aren't you?
Yeah, but it's going to be glorious.
Okay.
That's it. It's all about the glory.
Yeah. Yeah. So, given that this fellow has these armor plates, I guess there's plenty of places where I could just like try and get the hook in.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So my idea would be to toss the hook at the dude, and then with the movement that I have, is this a tree?
Yeah.
Do
I mean, it's not one of the giant trees. It's like, it's
but
like a
still
smaller
something.
tree, but it's still a tree with roots
Yeah.
and a trunk.
So my idea would be I'm dashing here while I'm running here, toss the hook, run around this tree, and then like baseball slide this way so that the rope goes around the tree.
Can man, it's not an AT-AT.
I'll make it one.
Okay, yep, no problem. So make an attack roll, see whether you get your grappling hook on.
Yep. Surprisingly enough, I don't have a grappling hook on my weapons list, so I'm gonna roll my brass knuckles, and this will
That's
just
fine.
be the.
Yeah.
Come on, boy. Well, it's not a 1, but it's not enough either.
Okay, let me just make a roll then.
Oof.
Okay.
So I would be around here when I toss the thing.
Yeah. So, what actually happens is you throw your grappling hook at this beast. It grabs hold of your grappling hook and basically pulls you directly towards it. Grabs hold of you with its other hand, and it basically picks you up. And it's shaking you about, so you go from like yeah, I'm gonna get this grappling hook, to suddenly you're grabbed by this thing, and it's like
yeah. So I'm doing the same thing because I'm like, oh shit, well now we're here. So I'm yelling at it, but it just bellows me into oblivion.
Indeed. So the rest of you, obviously it's not its turn, so it's not done you any damage yet. But you guys see this grappling hook sail gracefully through the air, sort of actually grappling on to a part of this thing's sort of metallic exterior. Then it just grabs hold of it with one hand, yoinks it, and you see the bulging muscles of this thing as it just bodily hauls Jackdaw, who's holding the other end, off his feet, grabs him with your hand, it picks him up. You can see Jackdaw's like as it's holding him up, and this huge like bull-like head is like as it's like lifting him closer to its mouth. Lieutenant, you've just seen all this happen a scant 15 feet away from you. As the D20 flies, you can see Jackdaw's basically like being flailed around as he's trying to struggle to get out of this thing's grasp, and it's trying to hold him still enough to bite him, maybe gore him with its tusks or its horns. You're not sure. Either way, it doesn't look like the next few minutes are going to be very pleasant unless something happens to alleviate the situation.
Okay, I'm gonna have to stand up and try and go in and help. So is it one action to stand? Oops, I dropped.
Okay, what's the plan?
The plan is, can I stand? Is it one?
Yeah,
action?
it's an action to get up because you've been like knocked down. So you leap to your feet as your first action. You've still got one more thing you can do.
Yeah, I'll go charging again. I'll go for a leg and try and take it onto the floor.
Okay, go for it. Obviously, you only get one attack this turn because you've jumped up and.
Yep. Make it a good one, Lieutenant. Make it a good one. Back of the knee.
Okay, it has hit. Roll your damage.
Okay. Hopefully that's a weak point. Only for a normal creature. Oh, that's a good.
Okay, so you run behind it and you slice the back of its leg. It lets out a bellowing roar, doesn't release Jackdaw, but it sort of falls down onto one knee. You basically like hamstrung it, So movement's going to be an issue for it, but it's still going at the minute. Although you can see its movements started to become more uncoordinated and sluggish, as blood's just pouring out of it from the wounds that have been inflicted on it.
Right.
Okay, so the NPCs. As you guys are watching, another 3 beastmen enter the fray. Another one of them wearing this skull-like style helmet. Obviously the rear guard of this band. As they walk into the clearing, the one wearing the skull holds his hands up to the sky, and you hear a low like thunder. And as he says that, he reaches out and he shouts something that you can barely hear above the roar of the thunder in some arcane and no doubt diabolical language that hurts your ears to hear it. He reaches out to the 2 beastmen either side of him, and you see a bright flash of lightning hits this shaman, cleric, perhaps you don't know, and it splits in 2, and a fork of it heads out and hits each of the beastmen flanking him. As it strikes them, you see what appears to be a strange glowing sigil in a rough diamond shape, but with like spikes coming out of it, light up on their foreheads, and the 2 beastmen run forward with amazing speed. Okay, so one of them is going to run forward towards there. In fact, I'll send them both towards Friar Dunstan. So they charge across the clearing so quickly that they're almost a blur as they move. Obviously, Big Mick up in the tree, you're trying to like keep a sort of bead on people with your crossbow. You find you can barely track these 2 as they're like you see bits of grass flying up in their wake, and they seem to just almost blur across the distance between this shaman and Friar Dunstan, and they're going to launch 2 attacks each. So the first one misses with his first attack. Oh, it looks like Gale might be with you.
Just have that look about it, alright.
Okay, so perhaps by the blessing of Gale, maybe it's his lovely armour, who knows. But these 2 beastmen blur across the distance, and they just start raining blows so quickly you can barely see. Their arms are just flurries of movements as they claw to the Fry. You're almost like driven a bit back by it, Fry, just the sheer ferocity of their attack, and you can feel like your arm is sort of taking a pounding as you're trying to you can barely see their arms moving. However, when the flurry of blows end, despite your armour being dinted, scraped and damaged, you yourself, you're a bit bruised under the armour, but you're pretty much unharmed. Okay, so on to the only remaining other NPC. Obviously the beastman who's still got the chain around Gregor is sort of keeping him under control. So we're going to go on to the giant beastman, and I'm going to have him do one of his attacks against Jackdaw and one against the lieutenant. Okay, so the one against Jackdaw, he hits. That is 10 points of damage. So what sort of minusage are you on?
We're at 10, you said?
Yeah.
So we're at -4.
Okay. So basically, just for everyone's purpose while we're looking at this, for death and dying, when you're at -1 to -6 hit points, you're unconscious and grievously wounded. You require bed rest to recover. Unless magically healed, which would get you back to 0, you must rest 24 hours before normal healing even starts. Okay, so he basically lifts you up, sort of slaps you around a bit, probably like smashes you into a nearby tree, and then as it becomes obvious that you've stopped moving, he just sort of like throws you down on the floor in a heap. So Lieutenant, you see him with like one mighty muscled arm just basically go smash Jackdaw into a tree. Jackdaw's like,
Yeah, and I look dead, which, you know,
Yeah, standard.
He always looked dead.
Then he's just like thrown to the ground, like lies in a heap, his cloak crumpled beneath him. The thing turns towards you, a waft of fetid steam coming from its nostril as it goes, and then it's going to try and kick you with one of its hooven feet. Which it does.
Oh dear. Right,
That's
so
10 points
2.
of damage.
Yep, that takes me down as well.
What minus are you on?
3.
Okay, so I'm going to put Jackdaw over there where he's been thrown. You are hoofed over here. So as this thing throws Jackdaw, it turns around laughing at the lieutenant, and then literally like in a sort of Sparta style, he just lifts up one big hoof and goes in his chest, and the lieutenant flies through the air, sort of smacks his head on the side of the log and like, lies like this over the log.
Oh. Nice.
Okay, Fry Dunstan.
Okay, so I just want to hit the one nearest me, the one on the right, if I can. Oh no.
Okay, so perhaps shaken by the sight of two of your companions being fell, you're unable, or perhaps it's the incredible speed that these creatures are showing, you're unable to land a telling blow on one of them. Big Mick. Oh, sorry, of course you've still got Gabriel, haven't you?
Yeah, I'll just move him over here, and he will cast First Aid on the lieutenant, which stops the lieutenant bleeding out, doesn't heal him.
Yeah, that's absolutely fine. So the young'un still shitting himself, like cleric, which seems to be his like permanent state of being since he's met you guys, just like running from one situation to another, being like, he looks around and he like obviously he doesn't want to get any closer to these things, but he sees the lieutenant down. He runs over to the lieutenant, calls on Gale, lays his hands on the lieutenant, and the bleeding from his wounds is staunched. Okay, so Big Mick, you're still up in the tree, crossbow in hand. Two of your companions are down. Fry Dunstan and this young cleric he's got with him are still up, although the young cleric, you can tell by the way he's like running around, is obviously not like a practiced combatant of any kind.
I have to say, it's not looking super good from where I'm viewing this scene. It's looking like carnage. I think I'm gonna just chance a sneaky shot at that shaman before he causes any more mischief, perhaps.
Okay.
Mickey's having some doubts.
I'm guessing the old like dowry is starting to look pretty appealing at this point.
Yeah, he's starting to think, I don't know about this. I got a wife and a farm. I got things. I got commitments. I got my sister back in Great London there. Oh no, that's a sign from the gods.
Okay, you fire a shot, and since you rolled a 1, I'm going to basically say that as you fire the shot, you stumble a bit in the tree, and you sort of cry out. You steady yourself, but because you've cried out, people now know where you are. Mm-hmm. Well, none of them can really do anything about it, but you wouldn't get the sneak attack bonus. Mm-hmm. Okay, so we go straight on to the NPCs. The huge creature here is going to charge towards the cleric, Gabriel O'Gowan, but he doesn't get there. He just like batters this tree to one side as he charges forward. The shaman is going to move over to help the other two beastmen. Okay, let me just check his spell list. Okay, so again he starts chanting in this demonic sounding language, and as he reaches the culmination, it's like no, he like, slaps his hand on your forehead, Friar, and as he does so, you feel this strange sort of weakness, and like you feel like stuff, like your skin sort of rippling and like moving. You're not quite sure what's happening. It doesn't cause you any direct damage yet, but it's quite disconcerting.
Okay.
Okay, the two beastmen attacking you. One misses. Second attack.
Well, that'll do it.
What? So we've got one hit. I'm just going to roll for them all at once.
Yeah.
I'm going to do the damage. Misses. And that one will miss as well. Okay. So you take 5 hit points of damage as one of these beastmen finds a chink in your arm and scrapes you with its filth encrusted claws. Okay, so on to the Friar.
So I would like to strike the shaman.
Yeah, go for it.
Oh, you're kidding me.
Okay, I presume you're striking with the Sword of Gale.
I'm trying to.
Okay, so as you go to strike with the Sword of Gale, as you bring and you're aiming for quite a decent hit, you can see that like the flesh on your arm, because he's still got his like hand on your forehead, the flesh of your arm is sort of like bubbling, almost like wax that's like starting to melt. It's not sloughing off, but like your arm appears to be like shifting, like the internal geometry of your limbs is altering, and you find it really difficult to like keep hold of your sword as your fingers are like flexing and bending and twisting like soft putty or melting wax, and you find it's as much as you can do just to hold on to the sword, and you don't manage to land a blow on him. Big Mick, you can see the Friar surrounded by these beastmen, and you can see like his shape appears to be like shifting as well, like his bone structure and his organs are rearranging themselves, and you can see he's struggling to hold on to his sword, and he's sort of twisting around as this beastman's got its hand on his forehead.
First thing I'm gonna do is pinch myself to make sure I'm not asleep and this is actually real.
You're definitely not asleep, because there's far more like naked Fey maidens when you're asleep.
Yeah, I should have known. I want to shift my position stealthily now that I believe that my blunder could have betrayed my position. I want to move about in this tree.
Okay, make me a dexterity roll. Obviously, you get to add your level to it. It's only a base difficulty of 12 because it's a primary attribute. No dice, I'm afraid.
Oh, crap.
You shift your position. You're like, oh, I think I've just got it, and then one of the slightly smaller branches that your left foot's on goes under your weight and drops through the tree. You pull your foot back in time to steady yourself, but this loud crack echoes around the clearing. Obviously, you've still effectively got one action, because that was just like your move.
Oh right, so there's nobody fighting the big beast man. So
no, the big beastman's charging towards where this young priest is over the lieutenant, and he's like,
I got a clear shot at him then, so I'll shoot him.
Go for it.
Oh god damn.
Okay, you fire a crossbow at him. It pings off one of the armor plates, and he's like, but doesn't really seem to realise where it's come from, because he's more intent on getting to the young clergyman who's like, as this thing's running towards him. Much to his credit, though, he's still got his hands on the lieutenant, but he's like, that slow motion when someone calls you he doesn't look like he's having a great time of it, let's put it that way. Okay, so the NPCs, the giant beastman is going to clatter into Gabriel O'Gowan and attack him.
That is a hit.
That is indeed a hit. Wait for Roll20 to decide that, yes, it should roll a dice. They need some like Roll20 elevator music for when like dice are waiting to be rolled. See, it'll wait until like there we go. It'll wait until I just go, I'll roll a manual one and then it'll do it. Okay, so this beast just like grabs hold of Gabriel Ogawa, lifts him up, grabs hold of his head with one hand, his legs with the other, and just goes and pulls him in two. Blood rains down on the beast. You see its long oxen tongue lap some of the blood off its face, and then it throws the two pieces of Gabriel down to the floor, and it stood looking down at the crumpled form of the lieutenant. Okay, that's its go done. Okay, the beastmen attacking the friar. They are now back down. Since that spell's ended, they're now back down to just one attack each. So the first one misses. The second one also misses. Okay, now I'm going to ask Friar, can you please roll me a d6?
It's either very good or very bad.
Okay, so as your form continues to twist, not really mutate, but sort of like roil and ripple under the effect of this beastman's clawed hand, which is like digging into your forehead, your form shifts so much like bits of your armour start to drop off as it's like no longer fitting you. Basically, if it keeps this up, eventually your like suit of armour is just going to be like...
Okay.
But it's not fallen off yet. Okay, so Friar.
Okay, so here we go.
Wonder and
down.
wickedness doing its worst on you, man.
Here we are. Finally.
Okay, I presume you're going for the shaman.
Yes.
Make your attack roll. Sorry, your damage roll.
6. It's not great.
However, he does have 6 hit points.
Oh, excellent.
So, describe how you dispatch this shaman. I'll move him back a bit so he's out of the way.
So as his hand is kind of on my forehead, I just kind of slap his hand aside and then straight down through his head and split his head open.
Indeed, your blow comes down, sort of cuts his head in half and severs that arm, sort of going across his head and to his sort of shoulder, and that part of him falls off. He lets out this howling, rage-filled, high-pitched scream and falls back, spraying blood out of severed arteries, and after a few moments is very, very dead. Okay, Big Mick.
Okay. I'll try and shoot that big bad again then.
Ooh, nice.
Roll your damage.
It's not playing. A 4. Oh.
It's fine, don't worry about it. We'll just take the fall. Okay, so it's not quite dead. It's like 1 hit point off being dead. It's just reaching down probably to like grab the fallen body of the lieutenant and perhaps rend him asunder when one of your bolts hits it in the side of the neck. It lets out a howl and sort of like drops down to both its knees and spins round, sort of looking for where this shot came from, momentarily forgetting about the lieutenant. And you can see it sort of like, but it's obviously struggling with the amount of blows it's taken. It's just okay. The NPCs. So these two beastmen are going to attack the friar. Which will miss. Okay, so they're unable to penetrate your armour as they carry on raining these clawed blows down on you. What do you do, Freya?
I swing at the one between me and the big guy. 14. I think that's a hit, is it?
It is indeed. Roll your damage.
Ooh, 8.
Okay, you've nearly killed it. It's sort of lying on the ground, a deep wound across its chest. However, it's still sort of managing to keep going somehow, clinging to life with an unholy vigour. Big Mick. Could all be on you. There's 2 enemies nearly down. Which are you going for? Don't think it matters with that roll.
It looks like a 19 on the 3D dice.
Yeah, I know, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so which one were you shooting at, Mick?
I was shooting at the big fella.
Okay, so again, another one of your bolts that pings off one of its armour plates. However, it is now worked out where you are and it's slowly starting to like stagger towards you. But it's literally having to like pull itself along the ground because it's been like hamstrung by the fryer and it's like bolts all over it. So it's like pulling itself towards you. Okay. So the 2 attacking the fryer. Misses. And misses. Okay, at this point I'm going to make a morale check for the beastman. Oh, if I can type the command right, that'd help. There we go. Okay, so the 2 beastmen that are attacking you are basically going to make a run for it, Fryer. The big beastman can't because it's been hamstrung, but effectively the enemy are in retreat. You see the one over here who's got Gregor by a chain, sort of like dragging him like deeper back into the woodland. And you see he's like struggling against it, but he's obviously so weak he can't put up much of a fight, and he's being pulled along by this beastman. Okay, Fry Dunstan.
These 2 beside me are running, are they?
Yeah, they're basically, you can see them like looking around, they're sort of like getting ready to run, but obviously it's not their turn yet.
Okay. So do I think a whole person would work on a beastman?
You're not sure. Obviously, strictly speaking, according to your faith, things like this aren't people. However, you've not tried this before on them, and in fact, I tell you what, just so we can say that this has been fairly done, I'm going to look in the book. Obviously, you don't know in character, but I'm just going to check on the wording of it, so this could have like an important effect. Okay, so do you want to try it?
No, what I think I want to do is run to, I think that's about 30 feet I can get to here, and I want to try and stop this guy leaving with Gregor.
Okay, no problems. This beastman isn't really paying attention, he's just pulling Gregor along because Gregor's like struggling, trying to like hold the chain around his neck.
Okay, so let's see if we can get this done. No, oh my god, you're kidding me.
Okay, you swing at this beastman, and I'm going to say as you swing sort of towards his arms, he actually, you don't hit him, but in sort of getting away from you, he lets go of the chain and he disappears into the forest, leaving Gregor sort of lying on the ground, like sort of panting for breath, sort of trying to loosen this chain around his neck, which has like been pretty much strangling him as they've been pulling him about. Okay. Big Mick, you can see the 2 beastmen that are remaining. Now the friars are left, they're starting to make a run for the forest.
Yeah,
The giant beastman's still pulling himself towards the tree that you're in with his huge clawed arms.
Yeah, I'm gonna shoot that big thing. I want that dead. That, if I can. So, for fuck's
Okay,
I know the feeling.
Perhaps inspired by Jackdaw's melee abilities, another shot thunks into the ground near this beast that I forgot to move on its turn, but it's just dragging itself.
I'm now
closer.
in his absence. I'm now the designated bad roller.
Okay, so it continues to drag itself a little bit closer. These beastmen run to the edge of the forest. They're obviously planning to scarp her. Fried Dunstan.
Okay, so I can get to just about here. What can I do? I want to cast my spiritual weapon. I just need to check whether or not I'll be able to use it this go.
That's fine. Well, while you're doing that, Big Mick, do you want to take your action? Because you're both sort of going around about the same time, so... It's a hit. Roll your damage. Okay, describe how finally you put this... There's this beast thing's like crawling towards your tree and looking up at you, gnashing its filth-encrusted, fetid teeth. It's obviously planning to haul itself up the tree. It's just reached the sort of trunk where you are, and it's starting to pull itself up. Describe how you finish it off.
I think probably this last crossbow bolt thuds into it. It looks like it's had no effect, and this creature just gradually gets sort of slower and slower, and then just starts sliding on down the tree.
Indeed it does, and it ends sort of like face forwards, its head slumped down, its hands still like dug into the tree as it lies at the bottom of the stump.
And then I think Big Mick kind of springs out of the tree and like bounces off the top of this creature.
Yep, you leap out the tree, sort of land on its head and jump off it, landing next to the cooking pot.
And a quick look left and right, and then heads over to see if he can assist with his fallen comrades.
Okay. Have you managed to check your spiritual weapon, Fried Dunstan?
Yeah, so I have a range of 50 feet, but since he's done, I think I don't really need it. So I'm okay.
Okay, that's absolutely fine. So, Big Mick, as you finish sort of your leap, you roll up into a sort of like combat ready stance as you bounce off this creature's head like some sort of fantasy Mario, and you look around, and it's then as you look across towards where the lieutenant's lying amidst the blood and gore that is all that remains of Gabriel Gower, when you realise there's still a beastman here.
Oh, he's not run away.
You watch as it makes its way towards the lieutenant, pulling out of its loincloth what appears to be like a sharpened bone knife, and it hurls itself towards the lieutenant, obviously planning to stab this knife into him. And I'll have it roll its attack. Okay, so 7, given the bonuses for you being prone, that will hit.
Oof.
It does use 6 hit points of damage, Lieutenant, as it sinks this bone knife into you, and it's basically just like...
Shanking him.
What does that put you on, Lieutenant?
Did the stopping the blood?
It
bring
doesn't
to zero?
restore any damage, it just like stops you from taking any more.
Right, -9 then.
Okay, you are like a hit point away from being dead. So, Mick, as you're watching, you can see this like lieutenant's not even like moving because he's so far gone, and you can just see this thing like plunging this bone knife repeatedly into his body, like spurts of blood coming up as this thing's like in a frenzy. He's just like stabbing him repeatedly.
I think I just crouch down and take my kind of best marksman's position, and I've got my bolt and my hand shaking. I'm trying to aim, and it's like, whoa. Shit, I missed this time.
Okay, and don't forget, if you miss as well, because it's in combat, there is a chance you could hit the lieutenant.
Oh well, yeah. I know.
Although to be fair, it's not looking like the alternative's
No,
too shit hot at the minute.
no, it's not looking too crisp.
Okay, but before that, Friar Dunstan.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's all good.
So I basically want to charge over and then do a kind of flying tackle on this creature to kind of move him away from the lieutenant, American football style. Let's see if this works. Oh my god.
Oh, wow. Okay. Could have been worse.
Okay, as you run over and you launch this flying tackle with its other arm, it basically like smashes you in the throat with its arm, causing you 4 hit points of damage as you leap through the air. It's just like in your throat.
Oh.
Okay. So, have you got anything else you want to do, Friar?
No, I don't think I can do anything else.
Okay, it could all be down to Big Mick. You've just seen the Friar run in, do this like flying leap, and then into his throat, and he's sort of like fallen to one side. Obviously, like knocked down, he's like steadied himself and he's good to go, but he's like, what do you do, Mick?
I'm gonna shoot the damn thing, or attempt to.
Okay. Obviously, if you miss, you could hit one of your companions.
Oh, nice.
You've hit.
Go.
This could be it for the game.
Damage. D30 for damage.
Yeah, you could use your D30 if you
Oh
wish.
no, too late. What did I roll? I can't see. I can't even see.
It's a 4.
Oh, it's a 4.
Okay, so it's injured. Your bolt catches it in the chest, preventing it from like digging into the lieutenant, but it's still going. Okay, so however, with the Friar running in, it's going to attack the Friar rather than just finishing off the lieutenant, because he's a more obvious threat.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, I'm going to give it a +2 because it's like knocked to the Friar to the ground as a result of his like attempted flying kick. In addition to its normal modifiers. Okay, it swipes out at you with this bone dagger that scrapes your armour but doesn't cause you any damage. Okay, Friar.
Okay. So I will return the favour with some vigor.
Ew. There you go.
6 points of damage.
And that is enough to finish it. So describe how you take it down.
I basically just kind of come around and cut its head off as I'm kind of, steadying myself. I just kind of swing around and send its head spinning.
And that is exactly what happens. Okay, the other 2 beastmen have legged it by now. And as you look around the clearing, you can see Jackdaw sort of lying in a heap next to the tree trunk. The lieutenant looks like he's sort of like knocking on death's door next to you, Friar. Gabriel is gone. He's in like bits everywhere. He's like smeared over a wide area.
Okay, so I would like to cure light wounds on the lieutenant.
Okay, that's absolutely fine.
Which
obviously you can only cure him to 0, remember?
Yeah. So that'll do him, and then I'd like to do the same for the Jackdaw.
Okay, not a problem. So you're on 0 hit points now, Lieutenant.
Thank you.
And then, because I don't have any more of them left, I will cast the Cure Serious Wounds on Gregor.
Yes. Actually succeeded with a healing spell. Like,
Yeah.
real success. Massive.
Okay, excellent. Pretty much as you call on the power of Gale, and as you cast this spell, the wounds and the bruises on Gregor's body vanish. Obviously, he's still pretty much wearing like the tattered remnants of his clothes, but he stands up to his full, impressive 6'7" height and throws this chain off round his neck. He still seems a little bit short of breath. You can see that he's rubbing his neck a little bit, but he nods at you, Friar.
And I'll just nod back because I still can't speak his language. And then I suggest that we get the wounded back to the campfire and kind of potentially settle in for the night and see if we can't hide ourselves a little better.
Okay, I'll move you all back to the campfire.
Poor Gabriel.
Poor Gabriel, indeed. Speaking of which, do you do anything for poor Gabriel? I mean, do you scoop him up?
I guess what I'll try and do is bring what's left of him to the graveyard.
Yeah.
And bury him with the rest of the priests that we've buried over the last number of days.
Yeah, not a problem. You lay, although you're not sure on the current status of the consecration of this ground, you lay him to rest amidst the body of all of these other monks of the same faith, which is the best you can do under the circumstances. Obviously, you say a few words, the appropriate prayers to Gale, etc. You sort of commend his bravery, even though he was scared shitless, he still tried to do his duty. And he paid the price. Then he say a few things about he's sitting at the right hand of Gale now, that sort of thing, and you lay him to rest. As you put Jackdaw and the lieutenant in the 2 bed rolls you've got there.
Okay.
And you all gather around the fire. Gregor's sort of he's taken the water skin that Gabriel dropped there, and he's taken a few sort of hesitant gulps of water. He coughs and splutters a bit at first due to the injuries to his neck, but he gradually seems to regain his composure somewhat.
Okay. Cool. And then I think we kind of want to keep low key for another night so that I can get more spells to bring the guys back to fighting fit.
Okay, as night starts to fall and you're all sat there, Gregor's voice seems to be slightly coming back. Expect maybe he's got some sort of internal damage to his throat or something. Eventually he manages to gasp out. He's like, "They have boy."
Which boy?
Flag boy.
Ah. Where are they camped?
They have place in woods, and he says something in Slavic that you don't understand. He's obviously struggling to form the words in common, but he gestures in a sort of northeasterly direction.
Okay.
And he says they have and he doesn't seem to know the word, but he keeps going.
Okay. I understand. And I'll gesture to 2 guys who are sleeping and say, I will heal them tomorrow, and we will go and find... Does anyone remember what the flag boy's name was? Let's just pretend I do.
Yeah, let's pretend that we care more than we apparently do.
Let's pretend you remember the name of Jeremy Lockton.
Yes, Jeremy Lockton.
Okay, so you're all settling in for the night. So what's Big Mick up to while all this is going on? You're all sort of sat around, you've dragged a couple of logs over. Gregor's rubbing his throat and telling you about how they've got this flag boy. What's Big Mick's thoughts?
Big Mick's decidedly quiet. If anybody sort of knew him enough, they might realise that he was a little bit shaken by the events. Stuck up in a tree, seeing that all unfold was a little bit harrowing, I think. Yeah, so
I'm pretty sure it was harrowing for some of the people who are a bit closer to it as well.
Yeah. But I feel like he may have had one of those sort of lives flashing before him type of experiences there. It was just a bit of a nightmare, and he's probably just trying to process it a little bit. So he's just sat there staring into the fire and wishing he was elsewhere, probably.
Indeed, as you're staring into the fire, the flames crackling as darkness begins to fall over the dolmen wood, you think back to that quaint little dairy that one day apparently will now be yours. You think of your young wife and of her parting words. You should be careful, and that your companions, the lieutenant, saying that they'd look after you, and your wife's sort of like, oh well, as long as it's not going to be too dangerous, that'll be fine. And you think back to her sort of sat up in the farmhouse, anxiously awaiting your return and fretting over what's going on in the often perilous woods of the Dolmen Wood. I presume you're all keeping various watches during the night, obviously those who are conscious.
Yeah.
Okay, so Big Mick, can you roll me a d6? See if anything happens during the evening on your watch. Okay, your watch passes uneventfully. You sit there again, sort of staring into the fires. Every time there's like a crack of leaves or of a twig or of an animal, you've got your crossbow close to hand. You're not taking any chances, but nothing untoward happens. Okay, I'm going to roll for Gregor, who, despite his health, insists on taking a watch. Oh, let me just dig out my Dolmen Wood random encounters chart. And whilst that's going on, would you like to roll a d6 as well? Please, Friar.
Did the 2 6s cancel out the 1, no?
No, I'm afraid not. I'm afraid you'll have to bear with me, because one of the unfortunate downsides of all this being spread across multiple zines is trying to find anything is an absolute nightmare in these. Tell you what, I'm just going to pick a book at random and turn to the bestiary bit. We'll see what happens. Okay, so as you're all asleep, Big Mick, in the middle of the night, you're wakened up by someone like jiggling your leg. You look up and you can see Gregor, his eyes like looking to the south, like but reaching out and shaking your leg.
Yeah, I just sort of wake up, rub my eyes, grab my crossbow, and sort of.
He says,
You look up here.
There, in trees. And he points to the south.
Do I see anything then?
As you look to the south, you can see what appears to be a figure. It's quite dark, so you can't really see any details, but there appears to be like a human-sized figure moving amongst the trees, so between them, but sort of like keeping a few trees between you and it, so quite moving quite furtively. You can't make out any details. Greg also, like with one of his legs, like nudges you, Friar. And when you open your eyes, you can see both him and Mick looking to the south. And as you follow their gaze, again, you can see a figure moving in the trees.
Who's there?
As you say that, you hear footsteps getting closer, and a man wearing long, dark, black woolen robes with a bald head and a long moustache and beard walks out of the woods. You recognise his vestments from the sacrifice you saw performed. He seems to be a member of the same order that identify themselves as the Droons, a sort of druidic order which seems to be endemic to the Dolmen Wood. He approaches you he sort of holds his hands out. He's obviously holding no weapons, but obviously you have witness to these Droons appear to have some sort of magical power linked with the lands. You've witnessed them being able to move huge stone boulders with a gesture of their hands. He walks forwards into the clearing.
Master Druin, how are you today?
He he looks at you for a few moments, then he surveys the scene. All these like beastmen bodies like splattered around everywhere, and he says, "You did this?"
We did.
He nods and says, "I was following the path of the falling star."
I'm afraid we're new to these parts. I don't really know what that means.
He appears to consider what you just said for a few moments, and he says, many days previously, a light was seen in the heavens, moving southwards to north above the Dolmen Wood. Those of my order have been tracking its progress. We believe it fell some distance to the north of here, and I have been tasked with making my way to the site of its fall. I would have passed this clearing by, however, I was drawn by the sounds of combat and the disturbance in the energies of the Tolman Woad.
We heard that the star crashed around a town that Prigwort. Is it Prigwort? Too many towns. Too many notes.
Big Bolton, maybe.
Ah, that's the one, Drigbolton.
Just a guess.
He says, Drigbolton is a small town, little more than a village, stricken with famine and disease.
Not of late. It seems that this star that crashed releases a pink substance, a gel, that when consumed sates the appetite. And it seems that Drigbolton's fortunes have changed. Although I myself fear that this is an evil substance, and it reflects in colour the creature who lived here in the abbey for some time, who was also an evil creature.
Indeed, such bodies come from a place that is beyond our understanding, and they often bring with them strange creatures, but they can also be a great source of power if they are harnessed by those wise enough to know how to use them.
Indeed, the monks who were here were not wise enough to know how to do it.
Indeed,
they paid the price.
Indeed, my order have been studying these phenomena for hundreds of years, and even we are cautious.
Indeed. For our part, we slayed the creature in the abbey.
It is well such things can pollute the energies of the Tolman Woad and disturb the lines of force that run below this sacred place.
And what will you do when you find your star?
I will assess the impact it has had on the Tolman Woad, and if I believe it is safe to do so, I will call to the rest of my brethren, and we will take it and guard it as we have done with other such sources of energy. Somewhere we will take it where it can cause no harm to people.
Indeed, a noble endeavour. Tell me, do you know these beastmen? Do you have dealings with them in the past?
They are a mad, polluted race of creatures. Some of them embrace their chaotic nature. For where they were once beasts of burden for the fair folk that once roamed these forests. However, like all such animals, when their shackles were loosed when the fair folk retreated from these lands and were driven forth by my brethren and those of your order and all sane folk of the Tolman Woad. The beasts were without masters. Some of them seek to emulate the fair folk. Those who lie to the northwest of the Tolman Woad, the Malbleeds. Some of them, however, revel in their freedom and their chaotic nature, seeking only chaos and destruction.
And these feel like they fall into that latter category. We believe they have captured a friend of ours and are staying nearby. Do you know anything of their encampment?
There is I believe they use an old statue to the northeast of here. It was once long ago it was once a roadside shrine, but it has now been littered and befouled by these creatures. They seem to withdraw to there every time they are hurt or injured.
Okay.
If your friend still lives, that is where he will be.
Okay. And tell me, these creatures, and I'll point at there's very specifically the very big one. How many of them are there in this band? Do you know?
It is impossible to say. They have a way that I do not fully understand of making others like them. Very few are born like this. They are made.
Okay. Okay. And do you know, is this a big clan?
I do not know.
Ah, okay. Indeed.
I do not normally spend my time in this area of the Tolman Woad. As I say, I'm simply passing through, following the path of the star.
Ah. And I wonder, could we reach an agreement where you might assist us with the retrieval of our friend, and we might in turn assist you with the retrieval of this energy source?
What agreement do you propose?
Just that. If you can assist us with the retrieval of our friend, we will in turn assist you with the finding of the star.
It is agreeable.
Indeed.
Unfortunately, I cannot afford to delay overly long. How long do you rest here?
We need to rest for another 4 to 6 hours so I can heal my friends, and then we will be on our way.
Very well. And he sits down on one of the tree stumps near the campfire.
Okay. And I will go back to sleep because I need my beauty sleep to heal people.
Okay, so the rest of the evening passes uneventfully. Anyone who's conscious, you'll want to cross off a ration from your sheet. And you'll also want to cross off ones for your unconscious brethren, since we're trying to give them water and stuff like that, to like keep them going.
Okay.
And obviously an extra one for Gregor as well, because he's not got rations on him.
Okay. I'll take care of that. Okay, so Uffington, this is for you. It could be worse.
Thank you, Dunstan.
So Jackdaw, this is for you. Do you feel like you need another one of them?
So you're on 5 hit points at the minute.
Yeah, so I'm much like the song says, I'm halfway there.
Okay. Oh. That was an unfortunate order to roll them in. So Gregor.
Gale giveth, Gale taketh away.
So I have 2 more. So how are you doing, Lieutenant?
I'm feeling rather healthy now.
Okay.
Not tip-top condition, but
Okay. So this one then is for me. Okay. As is this one. Okay, so that was 6 total. So that's 25. Okay. Awesome. And then I will explain to Jackdaw and Huffington that our friend, whose name I didn't get, is going to help us find Jeremy Lockton, who has been captured by Beastmen. And separately to that, I have committed us to assist him find the fallen star that has potentially landed near Drigbolton.
Okay.
With no regard for mixed feelings whatsoever.
well, I'm sure absence will make the heart grow fonder.
And in fact,
sure.
while that discussion's going on, Big Mick, you've noticed that the Droon, this druidic like figure with this bald head and this long sort of plaited beard, is sat there. You know, it's like he keeps sort of he's looking at you and he's got a bit of a curious expression on his face. He's like,
Yeah, I was wondering when that was coming. Can I help you at all, my old mate? You seem to be. You seem to have some questioning thoughts, judging by the expression on your face and the old stroking of the beard.
which part of the Tolman Woad do you hail from?
Well, perhaps you could tell me. I've only recently come into the knowledge that I may in fact be somewhat native to this region. I was not, to my knowledge, born here. However, there's been some mighty strange goings on. And
Says, half-bloods were rare even in the days of old.
Half-blood, you say?
Yes.
So how would I determine my ancestry? Have you? I've had kind of a vision.
He actually leans forward. He looks very interested when you say that, and he says, "A vision, you say? Describe your vision to me."
Well, I would. Except it does grow somewhat hazy in my memory now. Although myself and my sister, it would appear that we don't in fact have the parents that we thought we had. And I met this little goblin fellow as well. And he seems to also have this idea that I'm from around these parts, and I do feel strangely at home, it has to be said.
Yes, there is the. How best to put this? Those of my order, we are attuned to the flows of energy through the Tolman Woad. Part of our responsibility is to guard those flows of energy, and it was by their use that the fair ones were banished from this wood. Their presence deforms the natural flows of energy, and even to those who have a trace of their blood, such as yourself, to those who are in tune with the energy flows of the Tolman Woad, it is perceivable. And that is how I can perceive that you have some trace of the fair folk about you.
Yes. And I do seem to get on quite well with them as well. So
That would not surprise me. They the fair folk all share, they are all creatures of dreaming and of chaos, and they all share that as a bond.
So, what sort of footing does that put me and your good self on? You say that you, like, put the fair folk out of this place.
Indeed, was the taint of the fair folk strong within you, then I would expect you to experience some difficulties in the Toman world. However, the trace is but slight.
I see.
And he sort of leans forward and tenses his hands. Says, in the days of old, it was the way of the fair folk that sometimes they would take a human child, and in its place they would leave one of their own who was, to all intents and purposes, a similar child. That child would grow to perhaps even to adulthood, perhaps not even knowing anything of their nature. However, when the fair folk returned for them, they would take them back to their kingdoms, and they would take with them all of the information that they had gathered, the life they had lived as amongst mortals, and they would use this information in their battles, in their games with mortal folk.
So, if this had happened to me, aren't they leaving it a little bit late in the day coming to collect me? Because I'm getting kind of long in the tooth. And I mean, I could have very well passed away on several occasions, and all that intelligence and information gathering would have all gone to waste.
That is true. I am, and you'll forgive me, I am surprised to find someone of your years who is unaware of their heritage. But I cannot speak to the fair folk's motivations for leaving you amongst mortals and then failing to return. As you have said, accidents can befall even the fair folk. Perhaps they meant to return and simply did not have the opportunity or were prevented.
Or maybe they were insinuating that I ain't good enough. That's my read on this, you know. I think I could quite easily take this very personally.
Perhaps. However, it has been my experience that whilst blood has a certain power over us and it forms the foundation upon which we base our lives, what you choose to do with your life is far more important.
I shall have to reflect on this for a while.
Indeed, blood can tell you where you came from and who your parents and your people were, but it cannot tell you who you are. Only you can answer that question. Then he sort of looks across at the friar and he says, how fare your companions, man of the one true God?
We are ready and willing.
And not that able.
Indeed.
The Droon sort of reaches inside his robe and he pulls out what appears to be a necklace made of 6 crow skulls held together with a leather thong, and he says, very good, I will try and determine the way for us. And he basically takes these skulls off the leather thong and throws them up into the air, and as they fall through the air they transform into 6 crows that break apart and fly into the distance. Says, in but a few moments I will know the correct way to go. And at this point I'm going to say, let's have a little bathroom break, everyone grab a drink, etc. And when we come back we'll crack on.
Yep.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Sorry, stuff on my face.
Sorry, Ryan, you go for it.
That was a bit closer than we were expecting.
I'll say, yeah, it could have gone quite badly.
Yeah.
Okay, I've just moved you onto the map. And I suppose I should really knock up a token for this Droon guy.
Yeah.
So I think.
Where did you get the maps?
These are. I back a guy who does like 2-minute tabletop. It's called. I back him on Patreon, and he does he does like these maps, and he does like asset packs with them. So like the log over the road on this map is like just an asset you can drop in,
Oh,
and he does loads of stuff on his website that you can just download for free. And then if you back him on Patreon, you get so many maps like free,
Okay.
depending on what level you back. But yeah, he does some great stuff. And they're all. The idea is like the last one I used. It was literally just the trees around the edge and the grass, and then I just sort of dropped everything else in from like asset packs. And
Okay.
he does loads of stuff from like pirate ships to like forests and all in this
Okay.
similar sort of style. They're all really good.
That's good because then you can build a different glade with different trees and yeah. Oh, let's check it out.
Yeah, they're great. I mean, I'd love to use them more, but obviously you have to know what sort of map you're going to need in advance. So they're great for stuff like this when you've got like a couple of like different location pieces, but and you can sort of like quickly create a map. So like if I was going to quickly create this, I'd like drop some in and I'd drop some assets on while you guys were having a break. But I'd already sort of laid this one out.
Ah.
Okay, so we just wait for Ian to get back. So out of the rest of you guys, feel about how the session's going so far?
Going smashingly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a bit nip and tuck there at the start.
Yeah, that looked a bit grim
Yeah.
for a bit.
Mm-hmm.
I had every confidence in you guys. I was
I
like,
love it. Like whenever I try to pull off some like crazy MacGyver move, I just like get tossed into the bin.
In the bin.
that's it, man.
That's cool. These maps are nice, aren't they?
Yeah, like I said, I was just saying to Rob, it's 2-minute tabletop stuff. I back him on Patreon, and there's like a load of free maps on his website.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
he does like the asset packs as well. So like the log on the path here, it's just like an asset you can drop in, so you can like tweak them and make them your own.
Yeah. They're really pretty.
They're like, they put me in mind of the style of art out of the Usborne books.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, they've got that slightly sort of almost like cartoony sort of like look to them, like, you know, with the clear sort of defined outlines, but they're really nicely shaded and sort of coloured in. But obviously he's sort of kept in mind, you know, if you're going to be using them in Roll20, if you make it too complex, it's going to take too long to load. So like, the shading's quite simple, but it's done to like nice effect.
It's also got almost the air of the old Asterix comics as well.
Yeah. There's some great stuff in this style. I mean, I thoroughly recommend it if anyone like wants any maps. Gonna just look up Google 2-minute tabletop, and like I said, there's a lot of stuff that's available for free. But what he tends to do is he tends to do like a map that's like a free map, so like a forest map, and then there'll be like variant maps, so like a forest at night, like an autumn forest, and they tend to be like available to like the Patreons.
That's cool.
Okay, so everyone ready to crack back on?
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
the only thing I need to finish doing is I need to make a Droon counter. So since I've not got a druid handy, I'm just going to reuse the Gabriel O'Gowan one because it's a vaguely sort of monkey looking dude.
Oh, he's doomed.
I'll just change
Yeah, we need to get like a stack of red shirts. Just hand them out.
Okay, so after he sent these spectral crows out, they return a few moments later and they transform back into these skulls. He threads the leather thonging through and places them around his neck and under his robes, and he starts leading you through the thick woodland. You eventually come across the remnants of what appear to be a packed dirt path, and looking down this slightly snaking path, which has a sort of rocky outcropping to your left and woodland and more rocks to your right, you can see about, I don't know, maybe about 50 feet in front of you what appears to be a large tree trunk that's fallen across the track near to a large rocky outcropping. The Droon who has been leading you, you're actually a little bit further back than you are from the map, but he stops you and he says, my eyes have told me there are many of the creatures lurking just beyond the fallen bough, and he points at the fallen tree trunk. He says there is one up there, and he points at this rocky outcropping here, and a number on the rocks over there, and he points to the left.
Okay. Do your creatures know how many? Did they find our friend?
He says there are at least half a dozen and one much larger creature. There is a small child being tormented by the large creature. If you follow down to the line of trees just up ahead of us, there is an inlet partially concealed by the trees where the creatures pile their filth around the once holy statue. Your friend is there, as is the largest of the creatures.
So I'll turn to Jackdaw and say, do you want to try and take out this one on the rocks? Just down here, the single rock?
Here?
Yeah.
I can try.
Okay, so to just give you more of an idea, as you're sort of looking at the ground here, it sort of slopes gradually upwards. Then there's this rocky outcropping here.
Okay.
Whereas this is more of a sheer sort of rise, you'd have to climb here. But if you could potentially clamber up onto the rocks from this direction.
Overnight, John, do you get a single hit point back?
You have to rest for a day to get a hit point back.
Day.
So if I go, hopefully take down whoever's back there, do you are we making a plan for the ones up here? I point towards the cliff, I guess.
I think if you can take care of this one, that myself and the lieutenant will tear into this big good boy and rescue Jeremy, and then hopefully those few will be scared off by our downing of their large companion, and if not, we should hopefully take care of him before they clamber down to us.
Good. Okay, so the order of operations here, I will go down. Hopefully...
I was going to say as well, since you guys have enlisted the age of the Droon Shantak, I'm going to make visible the Beastmen because he'll be able to tell you roughly where they are.
Okay.
So I will go down here. Hopefully take down whoever's there successfully. If there's not enough ruckus to make everyone else spring into action, I could come back this way. I could get up because I'm fairly handy with the climbing. I could go up, start maybe working on these as well, as long as we have the element of surprise. How does that sound?
That sounds good.
Okay, so before you guys do that, just save us doing it later on, I'm going to ask each of you to roll a d10 for your initiative, so we can drop them
El
into the order.
Clásico.
Well, I'll take it.
Okay, so 7 for Dunstan, 7 for Mick, 8 for Jackdaw, and 8 for the Lieutenant. Splendid. Okay, let me roll for the NPCs. That's a 7 for them as well. Okay, I'll just sort the order. Okay, so obviously we're not in combat rounds yet, so Jackdaw, what's the plan? Obviously you guys feel free to discuss it a bit, because like I say, you're actually a bit further down at the minute, like before you get into this area, but I've just sort of put you on the edge of the map you'll be entering from.
So, I would suggest I go this way, try and deal with this one. Everyone else position yourself somewhere here, I guess.
Yeah.
On this side of the path, so that we can quickly scoot forward.
Yes.
But if my taking down the one on this side of the path doesn't raise a ruckus, stay where you are. I will come onto your side. I'll get up the cliff, or rather the rocks, and maybe, hopefully, take one of these down.
Sounds like a plan.
Yeah.
And as soon as the ruckus starts, we'll tear into this and around this corner and start smashing this big
Yeah.
guy.
Yeah. And I will do what I can in that case.
Yes.
Okay, so
Try not
maybe-
to die.
Yeah, maybe with the grappling hook. I have a plan. I have a plan.
okay, splendid. So it's going to be a move silently roll for you to creep up, obviously. Obviously, you get to add your level and your dex to it.
Yeah, and my well, yeah, I don't. Yeah, because I have them all built in. So here we go.
It's only a difficulty 12.
Well, I could roll a 1. That's what I could do. Get back into form.
Okay.
That was a good plan, guys.
There was.
Okay, so what I'm going to say is you creep up to there. You can see this guy on the edge of the rocks. You're just sort of like creeping over the rocks. Have you got like a dagger, or what were you planning to like shoot?
My plan was to stay around here and chuck a knife,
Okay.
because I only need to hit them for the death attack to work. So
Okay, so I'm going to say you've studied him as you approach. You get to there, you tread on a branch which goes, at which
Yep.
point the beastman turns around and he sees you. So I'm going to basically say, if you can take him out this round,
yeah.
because obviously he's going to be like,
Huh?
and so like
Yeah.
check, because he's a lookout. So as soon as he sees you, he's going to be like shouting.
Yep.
But like, before he gets a chance to do that, obviously
Yep.
he wasn't expecting you, so you've got like one chance to take him out.
Yep. Let's see if the shout is interrupted with a knife.
Don't
to
forget,
the
you've
throat.
still got that sweet D30
Yeah.
waiting.
Yeah, and I guess we're gonna roll it because I don't need it for the damage. Because, well, I could use the damage, but yeah, this.
Well,
is
yeah,
interesting.
you could use D30 for the damage. It's up to you, mate.
Yeah, because I. Well, I guess because these guys are. I'm gonna say it, and it's gonna jinx me, but I'm gonna say it. These guys are fairly easy to hit. Watch me roll a 1. So I'm gonna save the 30 for the damage because I need him to die. So
Okay, I'm going to say you get a +2 to your attack roll, because obviously you're attacking from surprise.
That seems like the right thing to do, because if you spend your D30 on the to hit roll, you could still just roll like a crappy
Yeah.
one for damage, you know what I mean?
Yep.
Whereas if you've already hit,
However, because it's a death attack, if he hits, the guy has to make a Constitution save or he's brown bread.
oh,
Because it's
okay.
an,
Yeah,
it's
which
an
is-
assassin's death attack.
But the thing is, I want like insurance on that, so I want the damage and the death attack. So this guy goes down.
That's legit.
Yeah. So here go. Yeah, because it's a death attack. This is gonna get all kinds of Interesting. So. Okay, yeah. So here goes. The knife comes out. Yeah, I guess it's one of those where I just like lunge forward because I see them starting to bray. Come on, man. Praise Gale. There we go.
You have hit. Roll your damage.
Yeah, so this is going to be a 30.
Okay, don't forget if you get any damage bonuses, you need to add them on as well.
Yeah. So, yeah. So instead of the 1d2, it's going to be my big knife.
Pulls out a broadsword and throws it at him.
Yeah, it's actually a fucking claymore. It's like, yeah. Let's see. So that's that. That's that, and then get smoked. Still good. Still good.
Okay, 10. He has 9 hit points. 10 is enough to take him down. Okay, so as this beastman sees you and he's like opening his mouth to let out a warning cry, describe how you take him down.
Yeah. So it's one of those where it's sort of like, and then I'm looking down. He turns around and he's like pulling out the whatever like weapon he has under. Oh, and then I just like toss myself forward and the knife as well, and it's just like, and he's like.
Yeah, the knife hits his throat and he falls to the ground, like sort of hands clawing you to see the knife, like, and then just topples forward onto the rock.
Yeah,
you quickly like pull him out of the way.
Yeah,
you like pull him behind the rock, so I'll move you behind the rock there as well.
Yep. Yeah, so I'm like, still good. Like I'm talking to myself.
Praise buttons, a success.
So, is there anything on the corpse that's immediately visible? Of interest, I mean.
Oh, we didn't loot any of the other ones either.
I tell you what, since I love me some random treasure, why don't we roll? Let me just pick up the older monsters and treasure. I'm going to say they probably have treasure equivalent to like an orc or something similar, so I'm just going to look that up. Bum, bum, bum. Orc treasure 1. Okay. Bum, 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 bum. Okay.
Come on, butt diamonds.
It's not a troll. Okay, so you find that the beastman, amongst all the random like crap he's got on him, he has what appears to be a small violet opal. It looks as though it was once part of like a larger piece of jewellery, but it's been crudely like prized out, presumably by this beastman because it was shiny.
Yep.
You obviously you're not as adept at Big Mick sizing things like this up and getting the value of them, but you think it's got to be easily worth a few hundred gold pieces.
Yep. I pocket that, and I will execute the plan as discussed with yonder fellow commandos, and I'll make my way back here. I will give them the everything's going great, no problems. The Beastman is dead, and I will get up these rocks.
Okay, now, are you trying to do this stealthily? Because obviously climbing stealthily is fairly difficult.
Yeah, we are.
Okay, so I'm just going to say make a stealth roll. However, you're going to have a -4 to the roll because you're trying to like climb up a cliff stealthily.
Yep. So
You do still
There's
get
no
to
way
add your
to-
level and shit though.
Yeah, there's no way to add additional mods on this. So, if we're talking stealth, are we talking? I forget what they call these things in this game, like because they separate hiding and moving silently, basically. So let's see.
Yeah, I'm just treating it as moving silently.
Yeah. Okay. Easier then. So here goes. So that's 13 then.
That's fine.
Cool.
Move yourself up the cliff.
Yep.
There's,
Yeah,
there's a few
so-
moments where you stop as like a few little rocks go like,
Yeah.
and you sort of pause and you're like, and then you carry on when like no one seems to have noticed, and you eventually pull yourself quietly and slip over onto the top of the cliff. As you look across to your right, you can see what appear to be two beastmen. They're both holding crude spears, and they're just sort of like sat back on their haunches, their legs sort of bending the opposite way. They're talking to each other in this strange sort of braying language. Occasionally they look over in the direction of the rock where their lookout was previously stationed, but like not having any alarm raised, they just sort of shrug and then they go back to talking to each other. They occasionally survey the road in front of them, but they don't see anything because your guys are still far back, so they're just like sat there with the spears. You see one of them sort of like picks up the spear and he sort of goes like that occasionally, you know, because he's practicing like, if something comes down there, I'm gonna like throw my spear at it. But
Yeah.
he's just sort of like getting the weight to the spear, you know, like. But
Yep.
there's no sense of alarm raised. Occasionally, you see one of them sort of like, I say whispers, sort of like quietly brays down to this beastman here, who basically just sort of like looks up and goes. And they just go. They just go back to sat down there. He's obviously sort of like, oh, there's nothing going on yet. Go about your business.
Yep. Okay. John, big plan coming up.
It's my favourite kind of plan.
Yeah. So, is this like a dense thicket, or what's the ground like here?
It's sort of like thick grassland. It's not like brushes, but it's like heavy sort of underbrush. It's like knee-high sort of grass.
Okay. Yeah. So no trees. Yeah. Sorry, I had the video minimized, so I didn't see if you gave a signal for that. Yeah. Righto. Okay. Yeah. Then it's gonna be a case of me like getting into the grass and just taking a shot. So I will take a death attack against the one closest to me up on the
Go for it.
rocks. Yep. I will get the short bow out for this one, and we'll see how it do. Come on, Gale.
Okay, 12 is enough to hit. They only have AC 11.
Okay. I'll get the damage out, and then if that doesn't kill, we'll do the whole dance. 9.
They have exactly 9 hit points.
Dead.
So this guy there, he's basically like, he's just like turned around to his mate and he's like, "Rah, give me go, ah," and then I sort of into the side of his neck and he just topples over sideways. Now, obviously, his friend is now going to raise the alarm.
Yeah, his friend is not cool with this.
Yeah, he's basically stood there and he's like, yeah, of course, Dave. Dave?
Hasn't he promptly vanished in the long grass?
Yeah, pretty much. Okay, so the rest of you guys down below, you suddenly, from where you are, Jackdaw, as well, you see this beastman. He sort of pulls around like a ram's horn that was on a sort of thong around his shoulder, and he goes, and you guys obviously all hear that. At which point there are shouts from all of the beastmen around as the alarm has now officially been raised.
Whilst
And- Sorry, go ahead.
whilst that alarm's being raised, John, I'm going to take that opportunity to slip away into the bushes to the south of my position.
Yep, make a move silently check. Well, hide check, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Obviously you get to add your level and whatnot. Difficulty 12.
And I vanish from.
Indeed you do. Move yourself to where you're moving to. and I will put a little ninja face on you.
Are these 5 foot squares?
Yes, they are. Yeah.
Yeah, I think.
Okay, so as the alarm's being raised, there's a rustle of trees to the right of you, Lieutenant, and when you look round, Big Mick has vanished. As you look back, there's just a few trees going, and he's gone. You just hear like a... That's it.
World's best armour, that is.
Okay, so obviously as the alarm's being raised, you guys were sort of ready and primed for this. So you guys will effectively get like a turn to act, like a surprise round. Because obviously you guys knew that at some point the alarm was going to be raised, so you've all been like ready. So, Lieutenant, what do you want to do?
I'm going to move up against the side of the road underneath that huge purple D20 that's appeared on the map.
If you click on it, it goes away.
It's disappeared.
There
Magic.
we go. Shazam.
As if by magic.
It's a kind of magic. So I'll move at maximum speed through this undergrowth.
Yep.
Which will be what? How far will I get to?
30 feet.
So 6 squares.
Yep. And obviously you can move diagonally, so... I know it's not strictly accurate to say you can move the same amount diagonally, but I'm not calculating like percentages of a square, so just go for it.
No.
Anybody got
Way
time
too
for
much
that?
effort. No.
Okay, so you sort of shelter under one of these large trees, Lieutenant. How about yourself, Freya?
Can I see this guy here?
Bit too far.
You can just about make him out, but he's like stood under the shelter of this big tree.
Okay, and is he on our level or is he kind of on the cliff?
He is on your level, but he's stood like against the cliff.
Okay. And I can kind of make him out, can I?
Yeah, if you were trying to shoot him with a bow or something, you'd be at a penalty, but you could try
Okay.
it.
So what I want to do is I want to summon my spiritual weapon right beside him, and I would like to give him a smack with it.
Okay.
Which is a miss.
Okay, so this spectral version of the Sword of Gale appears next to this beastman and starts swinging, wielded by an unseen hand at him, and he's like parrying with a spear, sort of frantically, like, what the fuck's going on here? As this like sword appears, like sort of like shouting in this whinnying, braying, sort of like, "Yeah!" as he's trying to fend off this spectral blade.
And then I want to kind of move up to about here. So everyone can see me, and I am attracting their attention as much as possible. So quite loud, quite aggressive screaming and whatnot.
Okay, that's absolutely fine. Okay, so we're getting on the turn order, so I'm going to move the NPCs. Okay, so this one up near you, Jackdaw, obviously moves over, checks that his companion's actually dead, and he's looking around for you. So I'm going to ask if you can make me another sort of hide roll.
Okay, so here goes again. The mods will come afterwards.
Nice.
So that is in fact 36.
Okay, so with that roll, I'm going to say he's actually like walked right next to you, but you're like lying flat in this thick grass, and he's literally sort of like, you've like obviously like pulled the grass a bit over yourself, and you're like holding your breath, and he's literally sort of like sniffing the air, and like the butt of his spear on the floor is like about an inch away from your head. And he's gone like that a few times, but you've managed to sort of like slide yourself out of the way, but he's not seen you yet. Okay, so these beastmen here are going to move out. Okay, this one here is going to throw his spear out to the friar. Okay, so as you're crouched behind this fallen tree, Friar, suddenly this spear goes through the air and it sticks in the log like boom. Okay, and that's pretty much it for the NPCs. So, Lieutenant.
Okay, move up alongside the Friar.
Okay, anything else?
I don't have a ranged weapon, so no.
Okay, so next it's Jackdaw, sort of holding his breath amidst the deep grass as this beastman's like. And
Yeah.
you're like, you're having to like, move your hands and stuff a little bit to avoid it. But he's not seeing you thanks to that wicked 36 roll.
Yep. Okay, so if I get the old cudgel out and go for the knees, does he? Is it gonna be because he doesn't know where I am? I suppose it's a sneak attack.
Yeah.
Okay, so I get the. I slide out the shillelagh. And, I'm gonna try and kneecap him to death.
Go for it.
So, let's see if my luck holds.
So you went to some strange school of assassination where
Yes.
they kneecap people to death.
Yes, yes, I did. 11.
That is the exact number you need to hit him, so roll your damage.
Yep.
Obviously, you
Let's
get your
see.
sneak attack bonus.
Yep. 8. Not quite dead.
Okay.
Almost.
So he has 1 hit point left. So what I'm going to do at this point is, because he's right on the edge of the cliff, I'm going to have him make a dex save to see if he falls off the cliff. So let me roll that. Okay,
9.
he has just managed to keep his balance. So he sways on the edge of the cliff as you like strike the back of his knees and he reels backwards. But he manages to like dig his spear in and sort of
Yes.
pull himself back on.
Yeah.
However, I'm going to say that you get a +2 to your next attack, because obviously he's like off balance already.
Yeah. Teetering on the edge. Yeah.
Indeed.
And he ain't running no marathons with that.
Okay, Mickey boy.
Now, between, you know where the log is laid, and there's that stone
Yep.
near where the other guy's been killed.
Yeah, so sort of here.
Yeah. Is there a break in the undergrowth there?
Yeah, just here, yeah. But it's a very
So-
small break. It's like less than 5 foot. It's like a foot's worth of break.
Oh, right, because what I want to do is try and scoot behind down to where.
I'll say you can do that, but you would have to make like another sort of like move silently check.
What about if I? What's going on with this rocky bit here? Can I swing round and follow in this little gully?
What, down here?
Yeah.
But basically, the ground sort of drops down here.
Uh-huh.
So this sort of bit is a little bit more raised up than this bit.
So if I got down there, it'd be like walking in along a trench sort of.
Yeah, but basically you could sort of like keep yourself level with this, and you would be hidden unless anyone directly looked over the edge.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, that's what I want to do. Sneak along round there then.
That's fine. You won't need to make a roll at that point. There's no one near enough to really see you do that.
So I'm kind of jogging round there, so I'm going to go on a double.
Yeah, go for it.
1, 2, 3. Something like that.
Yeah,
As
so
far as I can go, am I still in cover if I get to there?
yes, because you're still crouched down by the edge
Yeah.
of this sort of like cliff bit. So
And
that's
can I
fine.
see the boy from here?
Okay, now it's going to be quite difficult. So I'm going to say you're going to have to make me a wisdom roll to see if you can spot him from here.
Okie dokie.
Obviously, wisdom is not a primary; it's difficulty 15. And you don't get to add your level.
No, not a chance.
Okay, so no, you can't see him at the moment.
How about if I take the sack off of my head?
Maybe. Okay, Fry Dunstan.
I'll try that next time.
Okay, so I want to jump in here, and I want to just attack this guy that I am beside.
Okay, go for it.
A miss.
Yeah, so
Um,
you leap out, you swing the sword of Gale, but he ducks down on his haunches and dodges out of the way. Obviously, you still have your spectral weapon.
So I'd like to move that up to attack this big guy,
Go for it.
which is the spiritual one. Oh my god.
Okay, so your spiritual weapon flails against this huge minotaur-like creature, and he just sort of swats it away.
Okay, that was unfortunate.
Okay, so we go on to the NPCs. Right. So this beastman's going to move around here. This one's going to move up to attack you. This one's going to move to here and throw a spear at the lieutenant. And this bad boy is going to come charging out with a bellowing roar. Okay, so the one throwing his spear first at the lieutenant. Okay, so normally that would have hit. However, as the spear sails through the air towards you, Lieutenant, you're surprised when suddenly a fresh branch sprouts with tremendous speed from the felled tree trunk in front of you and actually sort of entangles the spear. And as you look back, you can see the Droon stood like that, gesturing towards the fallen trunk.
Right, give him a quick signal.
You see a couple of beads of sweat on his face, but he nods and doesn't say anything. Okay, so the two normal ones attacking the friar.
Ouch.
One hits. One misses. The big guy with his two attacks. Hits. Hits. Okay, so from the normal guy, you take 1 hit point of damage as one of the beastmen rakes at you. Then for the two attacks that hit you from the giant one, so it's 3. So you take 10 hit points of damage in all, as this smaller beastman rakes at you, and this big one stomps out of the trees, pushes the smaller beastman out of the way, and literally goes and smashes 2 meaty fists the size of hamhocks into your chest. You feel your armour groaning and splintering under the weight of his blows.
Okay.
Okay, so on to the lieutenant.
Okay. Right. I'm going to try a Neo move. I'm going to
Go on.
run forwards, and I'm going to run actually using the rocks of this this wall.
Okay.
This wall here, to propel myself into the air and come down sword first on this big monstrous thing.
Go for it. Move yourself in and make your attack. Don't forget you've still got your classic D30.
I'm going to save that for damage.
I understand.
Whoops. I'm on him. Okay, let's see if this works. Might help if I open the character sheet again. Come on, boys. Gale, help me in our hour of need.
That is a hit. Roll your damage. So you run up, leap off this rock face, coming down with your fey blade.
Holding the sword to about two-handed.
You swing it down. Roll your damage.
Snapping it down.
Okay, having scored the exact number of hit points that this giant creature has.
+5.
Okay, so describe how you take this creature down in one mighty swipe. As you leap off the walls and it's like...
He runs up as he's running forwards, his sword in hand, takes a couple of steps off the wall to his left, up in the air, twisting as he goes. The beast looks up, like I say, and straight through its eye socket, up to the hilt.
Indeed, there is a sickening squelching sound as your Fey blade slides effortlessly through the eye socket to this thing and comes out just below its chin. As it's like impaled on your sword, it's like... and then as you pull the sword out, it just literally crumples in place to the ground, almost like it's sitting down, but just like...
Cool.
Okay, Jackdaw, you hear this loud thump and you briefly see the lieutenant sort of running along the wall of the chasm and then appearing in your view as he leaps down. Then you just hear this like... What do you do, Jackdaw?
I will do my level best at moving here and taking out the club again, and we're gonna go in for, because he's on the ledge, right? So we're gonna go in for a classic scene where I'm gonna swing the club and try and kick him off the ledge.
Nice.
Let's see. Here goes. The club. Wah! No. No. The movie reference was too much. I should have played smooth.
So
Yeah.
you swing your club, this thing ducks and scrambles back onto the ledge, so getting more secure footing. Okay, Big Mick, obviously from your vantage point, you've seen the lieutenant fell this huge creature, and now it's out of the way. As you can peer into this inlet, Mick, you can see what looks like it was once a human statue of some kind that's been degraded by the elements, and it's smeared with all manner of effluence and beastman foulness. Piled up around it are bones of beasts, men, and other creatures probably best left to the imagination. You see the odd glint of gold and metal amongst the bones, and sort of at the back you can just about make out a tiny, pale, bedraggled figure with a chain around his neck that's attached to the statue, smeared in foulness and covered in dried blood.
Can I see the other beast man that is lurking at the top of the cliff near the statue?
You can, yeah, because they've obviously all now come out of their hiding places when the alarm was raised.
I want to shoot that fool
Go for it.
before he causes any mischief. Not with that, I won't.
Okay, so you shoot your arrow in it, like, into the undergrowth to either side of him. Okay, Fry Dunstan.
So I would like my spiritual weapon to attack this guy here besides the lieutenant, and then
Okay.
I will attack the other guy just below myself as
Okay.
well. So this is the spiritual one. That's a miss. And this is for my attack. Okay. 7 points of damage on this guy just south of me.
Okay, you deliver a serious wound to this creature, but it's still going. Okay, so onto the NPCs. I'm going to make a morale check for them. Okay, so they are cheesing it.
Very wise.
So most of them have scarpered off into the woodlands. There's still 2 of them who are sort of running down the path. They've not got quite enough move to scarper yet, but they're heading for the hills. Basically, they've obviously seen the lieutenants have sliced down this gigantic champion of theirs in like one swipe, and they pretty much know that, like, obviously their lookouts are dead because they didn't raise the alarm. So they're just like, nah, forget this, and they're doing one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so unless you guys will try and finish these 2 off, we're effectively out of combat rounds. So don't worry too much about the initiative. So what do you guys want to do?
Kind of want to finish them off. Is
That's fine. If you want to finish them off, you can have you've got like 1 chance to like attack them before they get to the edge of the map and they're gone. So
okay? So I will charge up to this guy, and I will have my spiritual weapon attack the other guy and see if that works. So here we go. This is for the injured guy. Oh, finally, when it didn't matter at all.
okay, so you hack that guy down.
And then the Sword of Gale misses. Okay.
Okay, so does anyone who's nearby want to attack this beastman before he legs it?
I can try and shoot him.
Yeah, go for it.
Yep. So he's running away. So that will be a bonus on that front. So, but doink. That's a 10, which is not a hit, I suppose.
No, they've got AC 11.
Yep.
So your shot to the head's over his shoulder. And
I could reach him in 1 move.
yeah, if you want to charge him and get an attack, you can do, Lieutenant.
Yes, I do. I'll chase after him, try and take him down. Maybe even direct his flight into a tree trunk or something.
Go for it.
Anyway.
Make your attack roll.
There we go. It's on its way.
Okay, roll your damage.
Yeah. That would be.
Okay, so since you said you were trying to like direct him into a tree trunk, I'm going to give you the option. You've got enough hit points to kill him, so if you want him to just be dead, he will be dead. That's fine. However, if you just want to like smash him into a tree trunk and like incapacitate him, that's also an option. It's entirely up to you. Whichever one you choose, he will no longer be a threat.
They're beastmen, so I do direct him into a tree, but there's a sharpened, previously broken branch that he impales himself upon. I push him through.
Indeed,
He impales himself on. Yes. How terribly unfortunate.
Indeed, so as he's running, you basically running behind him. You like basically stick one of your legs in front of his, push him over your leg, and he like onto this tree branch. And he just like hangs there, sort of still stood up, like pinned in place by this tree branch through his chest.
What's that?
And silence falls over the area as your Druun companion slowly starts walking to the centre of the scene.
Yeah, thank you for that. Saved my life. I will endeavour to do the same.
He nods and says, "Think nothing of it. These creatures are a foulness on the Tolman Road, a plague."
Not anymore. And I'll indicate the few who are dead.
He says, "Would it be so easy to slay all of them, as it were these isolated bands? But they are like an illness. Just when you think you have cured it, it springs back in another part of the whole."
And tell me, who makes these large
It is my understanding, I have not made a study of these beasts, so there are others in my order who have studied them more extensively, but it is my understanding that they are created by the ingestion of some form of foul substance. The effects of this substance are, I'm sure you've seen that they're all twisted and abhorrent in appearance. The exact effects of this substance are chaotic, like the creatures themselves. There are those who absorb more of the foulness from this substance, who grow large and fat on it, and become such beasts as you see over there, and he gestures at the fallen body of the greater beast.
And do you know where they find this substance? Do they make it, or is it growing, or?
He says, we do not know precisely where it comes from. It is a strange pinkish substance.
Okay.
Right.
That is interesting, because we believe that substance is based around Drigg Bolton, that it came from this falling star.
That would make sense. Such a, as I've said, such things come from a realm beyond our knowledge and beyond our understanding. They are wreathed in polluting, chaotic energies. That is why my order attempts to seek such things out, so that we can safely store them where they cannot harm the Tolman Woad.
Mm-hmm.
It is imperative we reach Drigg Bolton as soon as possible.
Yes. Let us see to our friend, and then we will be on our way. Can I loot the big guy? Because I totally forgot to loot all the ones back in the camp.
Yeah, that's fine. So I'm assuming you guys are basically going to like loot the bodies and any tat that's lying around the statue. So I'll just sort of tell you what you find in a wanna, basically. Yeah. Okay, so each of the beastmen has like a few coins on them of various kind, and there's also quite a lot of coins and it looks like they're basically everyone they've killed, they've sort of chucked with their possessions against this strange bone shrine they've corrupted this statue into. You find 918 gold pieces, 5 silver pieces, and a mighty 6 copper pieces.
John, I'll see to this boy while the murder hobos are looting through the trinkets.
Okay, no problems. I'll finish listing the trinkets, and I'll give you the blurb of what's happening with this young lad. So there's also a fair amount of random tat there as well, because like I said, they've just heaped these people, which there's a mix of peasants, animals, other beastmen even, that have been killed and piled up with their possessions. You find what appears to be a large sort of clay amphora with a cork in it, and when you take the cork off, it's got this acrid smell like there's vinegar in it.
Okay.
There's a bag of what appears to be salt. There's a broken wooden box with some firewood in it. There's the remnants of half a dozen clay pitchers. One of the skeletons appears to be wearing the torn and befouled remains of what looks to be like a courtier's outfit of some kind, but it's badly torn. There's like a metal piton, like like a spike you'd use for climbing. Okay. There's a small lead and a small wooden box that both appear to be empty. There is a vial of ink and what appears to be a whetstone for sharpening weapons.
Okay. And if I cast Detect Magic, does any of that tat seem magical?
No.
No. Okay.
Okay, so while they're counting up all the tat, Mick, you head over to where this young boy is, Jeremy Lockton. He's basically crouched sort of in this corner here. He basically looks like someone's dipped him in shit and blood. He has a chain around, like a massive chain around his neck that runs to the statue, and like someone's like hammered a spike into the statue and like through one of the links in the chain, and he's sat there sort of like this, like eyes staring at him like he's in some kind of shock.
I'll just be all right, son. Yeah, you'll be all right. Let me just get this chain off you.
He turns and looks towards you, but it's like his eyes aren't really focused on you.
Yeah, I'm just going through the motions, really. Just get this chain off him. Can I get this chain off him? Sort of thing.
Yeah, you don't bother trying to like take the spike out of the statue, but you're able to just like lift it over his head. Obviously, he's not been strong enough to do so, but you're able to like lift it over him. As you do so, he basically like grabs hold of your waist and he's like clinging onto you.
I'll just pick him up and get him out of this shithole straight away, really. And
yeah, he's like a young lithe lad, so you just like pick him up in your arms.
Yeah, get him into the sun, or if there is some sunlight or whatever, out of the darkness and the cold.
Yeah, not a problem. You carry him out to the centre of the path. You can see the Droon is still stood there, but you carry this young, befouled boy out into the sunlight.
See if he'll drink something.
Okay, at this point, I'm going to ask you to make me a charisma roll. Is that a primary attribute?
Yes, it is. I thought so. I'm just no good at it, but it's still primary.
Yeah, so it's difficulty 12. I think you've still got your D30 as well, if I remember correctly.
Oh yeah, fuck it, I'll use that.
Don't forget, if you fail on a D30, it's bad.
Oh no, right, yeah, fuck that.
Yeah, he's going to turn into a beastman.
No. I've got -1.
Okay, so you managed to get him to drink something, but he seems like he's in a deep state of shock. Not really surprising, given what he's been to, and he's still sort of like clinging on to you. So like he hasn't like released his grip at all. But you do manage to like get him to take a little bit of water, and you like wash some of the grime off his face with a bit of the water.
Yeah.
At which point the Droon, who's sort of like quietly, almost silently, walked over to you and is stood next to you, Mickey. He looks down and like a bit of sadness creeping into his otherwise neutral sounding voice. He says, "It is a terrible thing for one who is so young to have seen such sights."
Yeah. I'll say this. The young fella's been through some rough times for sure.
The Droon just sort of places his hand gently on Jeremy Lockton's forehead, and he says, "Rest now." And as he says that, the young lad goes and falls asleep.
Mick will just nod knowingly, like the wise sage that he is.
He looks at you and he says, "If you wish, there are certain herbs that can be gathered from the Tolman Woad that can be used to make people forget things they would rather not remember."
Well, I think that sounds like quite a good idea.
He says it will take me a few hours to search out the correct herbs and to gather them.
Well, I'll give you a hand if you like.
Okay, so over the next few hours, Big Mick and Shantak the Droon explore the sort of surrounding areas, and he's like talking to you. He actually seems quite interested in you, Mick, and he's glad that you're taking an interest, and he points out some of the more common herbs to you, and he gathers together a number of different herbs, takes a bit of water, mixes them into like a poultice, and he says it's like makes a solution out of it, and then he basically like lifts this bowl up to the young fella's mouth, sort of gently pours like a little sip at a time into his mouth, and he reflexively swallows some of this water, and after a while the bowl is empty. And Shantak said when he awakes, he will not have forgotten all of this that has happened, but it will be like it has happened to someone else. The memories will not be so fresh.
Oh wow, that's good stuff. Well, thank you for that. That's bound to help. Bound to help.
Given the help that you have already provided to the Tolman Woad and that you have promised to me at Drigbolton, it is the least I can do. Besides, there are many wounds that can be sustained by a person. Not all of them are physical.
Definitely.
So while that's been going on, what have the rest of you guys been up to?
I've been stood up on the rocky outcrop with my cloak flapping in the wind dramatically.
That's it. If you like guitar riffs are like playing.
Yeah.
That,
Yeah. Like wide shots.
occasionally zooms in on your eyes. Yes, giving it the wild stallions at the top.
Yeah. No, I've been up there shanking the corpses and like digging out the gold teeth, the gold tusk. I don't know.
Illuminated by a sudden flash of lightning behind you.
Yeah,
that's it. The camera sort of zooms in and then pans around him. Okay, so yeah, you guys have looted these bodies. You made sure they're all like double dead.
Yeah, I don't
would have been trying.
Sorry, what was that, Ian?
Did we lose the lieutenant?
Away some of the muck and things.
I'm afraid you've gone a bit robot-y, Ian. All I heard was monk and things.
Monk. I'd like to clear out as much as possible all the detritus from around that statue to actually see what it is.
Yeah, no problems. As you clear it out, you see there appears to be a statue of a monk sort of holding their hands like that and looking up into the sky. But you clear all the bones and you sort of scrub. It basically looks as though these beastmen have like smeared their own feces and the blood of their enemies over this statue to like mark it as their own, almost like animals like scent marking stuff. But you clean it off as best as you can, and you manage to restore it to at least something of its former glory. One thing you do notice that strikes you as a little odd as you're clearing it away is, although this person stood there and he's wearing like similarly like to monk's robes, obviously like carved like that, you see they're actually like a pair of antlers coming out of the forehead of the figure.
Ooh. Now while that's going on, I would like to also cast the consecrate spell to try and remove some of the stain and
okay, what does the consecrate spell do?
Sorry, very little from a mechanical perspective, but the spell blesses an area 50 feet by 50 feet with positive energy, and then it goes on to turn undead and that sort of stuff.
Okay, so as you cast the spell, the dinginess of this inlet recedes somewhat, and the sunlight seems to shine a little brighter on the efforts of the lieutenant as he clears this detritus away from the statue. The sunlight gleams on the alabaster stone as the lieutenant sort of washes it down with some of the water. And as I say, it now, thanks to the efforts of both of you, is this gleaming white alabaster statue of this man praying with these antler horns coming out of his head.
A strange place indeed.
As you're saying this, the Droon, Shantak and Big Mick are sort of walking back up, and you say, oh, this is a strange place indeed. The Droon says, yes, it is one of the old gods of the Tolman Woad.
So we got a pony and cart, so I think we'll put Jeremy into the cart and let him kind of lie down and relax as we make our way forward to Drake Bolton.
Absolutely fine. And you guys start making your way towards Drake Bolton, which I'm just going to check on the map. Okay, so chatting with the Droon as you travel, he says he believes that Drake Bolton is about 5 days' travel to the north of here through the Tolman Road. He also says that you need to be extremely careful since you're passing through an area which is claimed by an entity known as the Naglord.
Okay.
When he describes the
can
Naglord, he's got like a look of distaste on his face.
And what can you tell us about this creature who claims this land?
He says it is one of the... You recall how I said previously that some of these creatures embrace their savagery and yet others attempt to emulate their prior masters. The Naglord is one such creature. It is a creature as dark as pitch with a singular great horn upon its head.
Is it similar to the unicorns that the monks spoke of, the black unicorn?
He looks sort of puzzled when you say that. He's like, I'm sorry, I'm not familiar with this unicorn that you speak of.
Does it look vaguely horse-like?
He says, yes, it's the Naglord's face has an equine cast to it. It is said by some amongst my order, although I do not know how true this is, that those creatures who seek to emulate their once masters amongst the fair drink of this creature to sustain their strength.
Okay.
But unlike, and he gestures around like the bodies that you've sort of like piled up ready to be like burnt or whatever, he says unlike these creatures, at least they make a pretense to civility. They are not as wild and destructive as these foul beasts, yet in their own way they are as dangerous.
And is there just one of these creatures that claims this land, or are there multiple?
The Naglord claims this area to the north as its territory, but it has followers. It seeks to emulate its once masters by gathering a court of its people around it. It apes the lordly behaviours of the fair folk who once walked this land.
And do you think we can pass through its land unmolested?
If the gods of the Tolman Woad are willing, it is my hope that we may.
But every chance that we may not.
It is difficult to divine such things.
Would you think it's a creature that we could negotiate with? Or is it not so much?
It would depend on the whims of the creature itself. Sometimes it can be reasoned with, but at its heart, despite its pretense to lordly ways, it is still a creature of chaos.
Yeah, kind of cantankerous.
Indeed, although its kind do ape the ways of humans and of their once masters, but it is but a thin veneer that conceals the beast beneath.
Are they difficult to slay?
In combat, no more so than these creatures. However, they are more tricky and learned than these beasts. They are more crafty and cunning. There are those amongst their kind who practice dark arts. The Naglord itself is believed to be although I've never encountered it directly, is believed to be an extremely potent creature. Even its blood is said to be a poison.
And do its followers drink its blood, did you say?
I don't know whether they drink its blood, but I've heard that they feed of it. What precisely that means, I do not know. There are legends amongst my order that that the Naglord itself was injured a great many years ago, and that is what keeps it in check. Old injuries that never quite heal.
I believe it fought the saint who created, whose abbey we have just left. Okay. It feels like if we do come across this creature, we may have to send it on its way to join its masters.
If that is possible, it would be cause for celebration within the bounds of the Tolman Woad, particularly amongst my order. Although this creature is not seen as such an immediate danger as its wild brethren, it is still a blot on the energies of this land. A corruption, a festering canker.
Well, let us see if we can pass through and deal with the Drigbolton issue first, and then perhaps we will return to deal with the Naglord. And should it cross our path on the way, well, then we shall see what we shall see.
Indeed. And as you all start heading northwards towards Drigbolton, 5 days' travel to the north, through the court of the Naglord, the territory of this great ebony beast, that is where we're going to cause a close to the session for this evening, gentlemen. Thank you very much for playing. I hope you all enjoyed the session.
Yeah, very
Cheers,
good.
John.
Thank you.
Yeah, it was great.
Okay, I'll send out the XP and everything over the course of the next week once I've totted it all up. So I'm going to end the stream for now. Obviously, I'm quite happy to chat for a while afterwards, as always, but it just remains for me to thank my players, Colin, Ian, Rob, and Johannes, and to anyone who is watching.